This is baby boy Brian Babylon, and I never listen to None Taken.
And we're live.
We are live. Hey, were you paying attention into the group chat when I asked a little bit of a trivia question like a week or so whenever Waltz got put on as the nominee?
I don't think so.
I had a little trivia question. I said, name the last two presidential or vice presidential candidates, certainly for the Democrats, that were not lawyers. I think you could do the same thing with the Republicans. You just have to take Trump out of it. Although thinking of George Bush as a lawyer makes me laugh.
Okay.
So
was Carter a lawyer?
You do have it. So that's one.
Okay. Other one's probably a Veep, right? Let's see.
It is, Alan, and I think it's staring you right in the face. This isn't excluding Tim Walz.
Oh, Tim Walz.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That's really not selling lawyers at all, right? Like
that's really not.
Like fuck all these people. Like I don't have anything good to say about them. Remember when lawyer jokes were all the thing? I feel like lawyer jokes were a big thing.
Yeah, when I was a kid, my dad used to tell lawyer jokes all the time.
I'm not going to be able to keep my voice if I keep talking this fucking much. I think I'm just going to play the opening sound and we're going to do a show. Does that sound okay with you?
Yes. Yes.
90s kids, people ask us all the time. Well, we tell people all the time. They don't often ask us, what was it like before 9/11?
Oh.
I didn't unmute it. This is how we start the show.
What was it like before 9/11? Younger generations didn't get to experience this, but pre 9/11, airports would actually let you crash a plane into the Twin Towers.
Y'all let me in this damn house.
Should we hit record?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
All right, you ready? I am ready. Are you recording?
Yes. All right. Well, you want to start a show?
Let's start a show.
That podcast is filling your head with garbage.
No offense taken there.
Well, it sounds like none taken.
Asking mama, she'll say the same thing. I got all the ways, I just ain't got the means.
Welcome to episode number 393 of Take It, the internet's only debate and current events show, with your hosts Dustin and Al, two political nomads from two different worlds. Shout out to Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band for use of their song Ways and Means for intro music. Thank you for joining us. At the time of this recording, it is Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. It's a great day for America. We are two coastal elites coming to you from the shores of the mighty Cumberland in Madison, Tennessee, all the way to the Pacific waters of El Cerrito, California. Here to recap another week, current events, and sharing way too much of our personal lives. Not so tragic. Well, somewhat. There's a little tragic personal life in there. And taking a sledgehammer to culture war echo chambers. Please subscribe right now wherever you listen to this. You can do the cool subscribing over at Patreon. And I would advise you, especially if you're an Apple user, don't have the Patreon app loaded. Maybe even uninstall it if you already have it. Go to Patreon on the browser, subscribe there, then download the app. That way they won't rat fuck you for 30% more fees. That's the only loophole. Those of y'all, why is my video frozen?
I can see you.
It says I'm looking to the side. I'm always looking at me in this. Yeah, so we talked about it a little last week. Apple is adding a 30% fee. 30% fucking mafia charge.
Crazy.
30% fee for Apple users on the Patreon app. But if you subscribe from the website, patreon.com, and then search for None Taken, or just from your browser on your phone, go to nonetakenpod.com. That'll take you to the Patreon for the low price of $3 a month. up to $9 or $18. Gets you access to all our we call our pre-shows the hidden track. It gives you access to exclusive audio and video that we only release there, like our special episode last week about Ukraine's invasion of Russia and Kursk, which somehow is not over yet. Shocking. Like I thought that was gonna go stale immediately.
So
We're like, we need to do this today. And that was a week ago yesterday.
Right. Yeah, we had a little interview with Cody, which is up for the Patreon audience only. And
What else did they do there? What else happens at None Taken?
Everything None Taken is at nonetakenpod.com.
Nudes of me and Alan.
We have our merch store over there. You can buy some cool hoodies, shirts, hats. You can also check out all our socials, and any RSS feeds you need are over there. By the way, if you do sign up for the Patreon, whatever level you sign up on, you get access to all that stuff, like Dustin said. And from the Patreon site, you can create your own RSS link, drop it into any podcast player that you use, and you immediately, all that stuff will just drop onto your phone.
Just basically, if you're not a Spotify and you're not an Apple, well, and that's the thing, all the hidden track stuff, it doesn't go on your podcast player if you play it through Patreon. But if you know how to hit copy and add an RSS to a podcast player, now you can do it. Because I like using one app for everything. I don't.
So do I. So do I. And also, if you want to watch video, all the videos up there too, unedited.
Yeah. Hell yeah, unedited.
Hell yeah.
I think one of us says hell yeah, and then you continue talking. I think I should start saying hell yeah because you talk.
Okay.
Hell
all right.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Also, don't forget to support the people that support us. SlickItsDigital.com for all your SEO and marketing needs. SlickItsDigital.com. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Hope you all are having a great week. It is back to school time around here. Berkeley was absolutely crazy. I was over there yesterday.
Yeah.
Just crawling.
Yesterday, Monday?
Yeah.
Why? Oh, because kids came back?
Yeah, I think they start Thursday. So everybody's like moving in. So yeah, big deal over there. Anyways, I didn't get up to a whole lot this last week. I was still working on that project I'm almost done with. Very close. I'm pretty excited about that. I'll probably be presenting that this weekend, I guess. But yeah, I did end up going out Sunday. Beautiful in the Bay Area this weekend. Well, Saturday was kind of dreary, but Sunday was absolutely perfect. Blue skies, like 70s, just gorgeous day. So went out with Tim and Allison and the girls. We went to Cellar Maker, and then we headed over to Wondrous. And there's a Mexican place next door that's really good, Los Moles. Oh my God, so good.
Los Moles.
But yeah, just a good time hanging out in the sun, playing some games and chatting. A nice weekend. How about you, man? I know you had a minor event.
Yeah, I had a little bit to talk about. I don't know. You don't like it when I say this, I think, but your shingles looks good, dude. Like,
oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. I'm hoping it's getting better.
Yeah. I mean, it appears to be, but I don't know what it's like having that. So,
well, I'm getting more sun, I think, maybe, so it's evening out.
Oh, that might be it. That might be it. So yeah, I went to San Diego last week because we got married 2 months ago, and we're like, God, we really haven't seen our family yet. We should probably do something with them. So we had a little family party at my mom's house. Brendan, if you're listening, it's my mom, not yours, jerk. All my brothers, they always try to say my mom. It's like, no, my mom. They can have their dad,
right? Know? But it's your mom.
It's my mom.
Yeah.
So let's see. For starters, we got there Thursday. First thing we did, got some In-N-Out. I didn't even realize it. They gave it. They didn't do our order right, and my mom and Natasha didn't order fries, but it came with 3 orders of fries, and I ate all my fries, ate all my food, and I just poured their fries in my fry basket. And before I knew it, everything. I even ate the rest of Natasha's. She gets the animal style burger, but it's without the bun, and I'm just eating it. Going,
like the protein style.
How could you fucking look forward to this? Like, what a disappointment! Like, I get the whole carbs thing. I'm just saying, it's just not the flavor I would look. I'd be like, fine, I stopped eating In-N-Out. Like, that's fine. Like, it's not the same.
I gotta ask, does it still hold up as somebody who
kind of
grew up?
Oh yeah. It's so good. Yes. Yeah. All these burger bitches out here got to find out real quick. So In-N-Out's coming out here like next year.
Are they really?
It's like the first year. Those lines are insane.
I fucking love In-N-Out.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. I only went once. I'm a little upset about that. But like every other meal was Mexican food. It was great.
Oh, there you go.
So Friday night, we also went to the beach. Nice full In-N-Out belly. Just go to the beach.
Hell yeah.
Do some body surfing. It was great. Friday night, we were supposed to be going to a jazz club. And we get there, and it was not a jazz club. It was like prog rock. It was cool.
Oh, okay.
It was like instrumentally, it was really cool, but
just unexpected.
Yeah. But I put on my wedding suit. Natasha wore her dress, and we were like, we eloped in Nashville, and we just came.
We're out on the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody was like, "Congratulations!" It was great. It was fucking awesome, man. It was a really good time.
Very cool.
We kept stepping out to smoke those funny cigarettes they have out in California, and
Yeah.
one of the times we did in like the middle of the main act, just because it really wasn't what we were there for. They were good. I'm not shitting on them, but we stepped out while they were doing all this prog rock. We came back in. Everybody was standing. Everybody was on like the day before. Everyone was sitting down. It was like we came back in through a portal, and it was like a different room. Like it was really weird. It was, and they were doing like EDM music with like women singing little vocals live. It was
that sounds fun.
Yeah, it was fine.
Cool.
One little thing I want to talk about.
Mhm.
So one awkward thing happened at the wedding party.
Mhm.
So I was seated next to like not someone I know, but like a family friend that I was getting to know, right?
Okay.
And somebody, we keep smoking those cigarettes, so I'm a little out of my head. And I go down to like scratch my knee, and I don't scratch my knee. I'm going to give away the punchline right now. I go down, like I'm sitting in a chair, and I reach down to scratch my knee, but I accidentally grab the right. I go to scratch my left knee.
You
But I
scratched their
accidentally
knee.
grab I didn't scratch. I grab the right knee of the gentleman sitting to my left.
Awkward.
No, and you need to understand, like when I just say it like that, you're like, that's a little weird. Do it right now. If you reach down to scratch your knee, you would scratch immediately because you'd recognize it. Pretend that's not your knee. Imagine you didn't feel yourself touch your knee.
Oh yeah.
There's a pause,
Feel
and then
weird.
like a slow sort of rubbing motion that I could really only describe as sensuous. And I pick my hand up and move my leg to the side, and then never talk to them again.
I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been like a lady, and then it would have been real awkward.
I don't know if it's much better, man. I really don't
Okay.
think it's much better. No, yeah. A lady, I can be like charming about it. A guy, it's like, oh, dude, how do I don't know. You wouldn't believe it, Alan, but somebody dosed me with chocolates again.
Oh no, it keeps happening. Those bandits out there,
Yeah.
dosing you.
So
Yeah.
the party, my mom's got a pretty cool pool. You wouldn't know, Alan. You've never been in one time. And about like an hour or so into the party, me and Natasha go jumping. We do the anchor man. I have an urgent news bulletin, cannonball, and jump in the pool.
Right.
And everybody starts getting in the pool. I didn't get out of the pool for like 4 hours. It was
wow.
we were playing volleyball in the pool with me and my brothers and friends. You know who was there? Slickets was there. I was
No
playing.
shit.
Yeah, Slickets was there.
Awesome.
Good guy Matt Ritzman was there. It was, and his girlfriend. Shit, Katie. I'm sorry. She's lovely. First of all, she introduces herself as, "Oh, you're the face that goes with the voice." And I'm like, "You make her listen to the show." It's like every time we get in the car, I'm like, "And you don't hate me?" She's like, "I love the show." I'm like, "Oh, you guys,
awesome.
That's your wedding gift. Thank you very much. I appreciate that." Yeah, it was so much fun, man. It like every person that talked about it was like that was like the most fun about at a wedding, and I would say, of all my weddings, that was definitely my favorite wedding. Told Natasha that. She didn't even get mad.
No,
we each got hangovers. She got hangovers the Friday night from the jazz club,
Mhm.
and then I got a hangover from the wedding. I wouldn't stop drinking beers. Like as soon as I'd pick one up, and then I'd be like, "Why is this empty already?" And I get
Was
another.
it hot?
People just throw them into the pool and you grab them. I don't
Right.
know. I don't remember. I mean,
Was
I
it like in the
remember, but I
80s
don't
or-
remember things like if it was hot. It was in the pool. It was great.
Right. It
The
was,
pool was a
fine, yeah.
perfect temperature, and like when it, in California, when the sunset starts to get a little cool out,
Mhm.
it was warm, so you just want to stay in the pool. It was great. It was great.
Nice.
We I don't like cake, so Natasha got cake for normal people, but I wanted cherry pie, so
Hell
I got
yeah.
a big Costco cherry pie,
Nice.
and I had the first bite of it or slice of it. It was like a big slice, and then now I don't remember this, but I have a picture. Did you see the picture? It was in the Instagram stories. I have a picture of me carrying the pie tray around, and you know that picture of like Johnny Cash where he's in the bushes eating like cake?
Yes.
Pie? That's pretty much how I look. And
That's
I'm told
fantastic.
that I ate about a third to a half of the cherry pie.
Well, when you have those special cigarettes that they sell you down there,
You get a little bit
you get little munchies.
hungry.
Yeah.
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 So I only tell you that to tell you this.
Mm.
My hangover included vomiting.
Oh no. of cherry
And
pie.
the last thing you want to see
Oh,
after
God.
you've emptied out the contents of your stomach is the last few spurts being bright red.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't like pieces of cherries. It was like the food coloring in there.
Yeah. The
And it
dye.
just hits the water and swirls around like blood
God.
does. I mean,
Yes.
that was, first of all, I was hungover. So like everything was like, I'm dying. I was like,
Right.
great. Now I'm throwing up blood. Fucking,
Nope.
at least
It's
I got
over.
a heading first. Yeah. I
Jeez.
mean, I'm just now starting to think that perhaps it was only cherry pie the whole time.
It probably was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. I don't know. I charmed the stewardesses into getting free drinks on the flight there and back. It's always
Nice.
my
That's
thing.
fun.
Yeah, flights were uneventful, and I'm still not perfect, but I'm becoming less and less of a baby. I'd like to go back to it and say it was not only the best wedding I've had at my mom's house, that was the best wedding I've ever had, Alan.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm
Yeah.
sorry I couldn't make it. But I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I am saying it to rub it in. In
Yeah, I
fact,
know.
when I said Slickets and Matt was there, I was like, well, but Alan wasn't. It was fine. They're like, where's Alan? I'm like, I know. And I was like, he doesn't even have a job. And he's not worried about money, but here he is. Something better to do today.
No.
Can we move into our comedy segment?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Maybe you're a parent and you force your child to eat organic peanut butter. And if
This is Thrash sent this in. It's from Grok Warren, and he's talking. Greg Warren, and
Okay.
he's talking about
Make
peanut
your
butter
kids
allergies.
eat
I think it's
organic.
peanut allergies. Oh, free organic peanut. But well, you know what? Let's him do it.
that's the case, I'm not going to tell you how to raise your own kid. I am going to gently suggest that you at least expose them to some different peanut butter, before you send them off into the world. Because I don't know if you've ever seen an organic peanut butter kid go off the deep end. It is not pretty. Okay, these kids, they spend 18 years eating it, then they go off to college. They have one bite of a Jif sandwich. 6 weeks later, they're passed out on a park bench with Nutter Butters all over their face.
That organic peanut butter, you got to give it a little stir. The oil
Oh, I
separates.
can't stand it. It makes me not want to eat it.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
problem.
well, that's they're like, that's the good stuff. I'm like, that doesn't look more appetizing. Like,
That's what you need the chemicals for to keep.
yeah,
that
you
stuff
need the
together.
chemicals for that.
Right.
Not really. Speaking of chemicals, this is about depression and taking antidepressants, but also other things.
I got the depression.
This is Stony McBlaze. Okay. Nope,
Okay.
that's the name. Right
Okay.
underneath it, Stony McBlaze. Good enough.
Checks out. Yeah.
And what's cool about antidepressants is they make you want to kill yourself less. But I was hoping for not at all. I was hoping for zero. It'll hit me at the most random times. Like I'll be watching Mythbusters. And Bro, I'm a stoner. I love Mythbusters. I love having useless facts in my head at all times. Here's a useless fact that I learned. If the blade of a lawnmower hits a rock, it'll launch that rock at the same velocity as a .357 Magnum. But that's useless information to me because I can't fit a lawnmower in my mouth.
Where's the laugh? God damn, dude. Dude, that happened to us. We were walking the dogs, and there's a big field over by here, and this guy had a riding mower, and I just heard like a whiz go past our head, and it was like, I've never been shot at, but I can imagine it sounded like just that zip
Oh
sound.
yeah.
And
motors
then I
on those
saw
roads
it hit
hurtling.
something on the other side of the lawn across from where we were. I was like, Jesus Christ. So we would have been dead. One of us would have been dead. What if it hit my dog?
That would suck.
Yeah, be careful around these lawnmowers, guys.
Yeah.
All joking.
Wear a
aside.
hard hat.
Wear a hard hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me share this. That's the picture of me eating the pie. You can see all that's left of the pie.
I did not see that on the Insta. That's a great picture.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
proud of that. There's no shame here for that one. Yeah.
No, that's yeah. You're having a good time.
Thanks, Thrash, for those. This one is actually, I don't know that Thrash sent that second one in. I found it and I saw that he had liked it, and I just said he gave it to me. 90s games. Christian sent this one in. This is like 90s, like we didn't have the internet, so shit we did to keep ourselves busy.
Okay.
I don't know who this comic is because it just says Blue Room Comedy Club, whatever.
The games in the 90s were insane. We didn't have the internet. 90s kids were the last generation before the internet. Duck, Duck, Goose hit hard in the 90s. Y'all remember that? I mean, I'm telling you, I wasn't the goose you wanted. I can promise you that. Don't come tap my head because I'm on your ass. You know what I'm saying?
You know what they call it in like Wisconsin and Minnesota? They don't call it duck, duck, goose.
What do they call it?
Duck, duck, gray duck.
Just
This isn't like a punchline. This is like a mayonnaise
true
in
thing.
France thing. Yeah.
I mean, I was tight around that circle. I had ponytails off my knees. I was tight around that. This ain't the goose you want, buddy. I mean, I can remember growing up, I'd ring people's doorbells and take off and jump in the ditch. It felt like drugs, y'all. I mean, I'd ring 3 or 4 doorbells. I'd be sitting in a ditch and I'd be like, I'm a gang member now. I got the whole subdivision upside down right now. Just silly games that were fun back then.
Oh, I figured out his name, Alan.
Okay.
I think it's Derek Stroop.
Oh, it's right there.
Right there in front of us, yeah.
We did play silly games in the 90s, that's true.
Yeah, remember Smear the Queer?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Also, I think known as Red Rover.
No, that was different. Smear the...
And then there was also... What's the thing with...
You just don't want me to say it anymore.
What's the thing with the...
Up? Remember Butts Up?
Yes. What was the thing with like the parachute that you would fly?
No, it was the parachute game.
Yeah. It wasn't even a parachute, but that's what it was called.
Yeah, that was fun. You have to
fun.
ripple the parachute and somebody would go underneath it. I don't even remember what the game was. I don't even know what the purpose of that parachute was. They just brought it out. Yeah. Kickball. I played kickball as an adult.
Did you play?
Oh my god! Like, wait until you get into your 20s and find out you're bad at kickball. You're like, yeah, I'll join the kickball league, and you're like, oh, I suck at kickball. I thought that was just because I was in first grade. No,
that coordination takes a while to get. You know?
It's hard to catch it when someone throws it to you. Like, it's harder to throw than you'd think, but like, you kind of, you want to sort of, okay. It's bouncy, and it makes that boing sound. Yes. Anyways, Dimitri Martin, man, somebody who sent this? Slickett sent this in, and I was tempted every time somebody talked about a salad since I heard this joke. I've been wanting to tell this joke. I've been saving it for the show.
Salad's just too much work. You got to get the ingredients, wash everything, dry everything, mix it together, dress it. Then I go to eat the salad. Now I have to make a small copy of the salad on my fork.
I was going to say, did Dimitri Martin not age? This clip's 9 years old, it says.
Okay, I was going to say.
For every bite, I have to be like, okay, lettuce, onion, cherry tomato, forget it.
You do this, right?
It's true. Absolutely.
Yes, this is just a great observation.
Cucumber, a pepper.
You got to make a small version of it on each fork. And if you don't, you get upset,
True. Pepper. Got to make another small salad. Here we go. Lettuce.
Pepper falls off. It's so annoying. God damn it.
How's your salad?
You never know whether you want to, like, what order to do things.
Right.
So you can pick up the tomato without squishing it, right?
Yep.
It's 17 small salads that I had to make. That's probably why in a restaurant, the waiter's like, are you still working on that salad? You're goddamn right I'm working. I'm exhausted. Take this thing away from me.
Stumbling over here.
Oh, Tucker loved that joke.
Yeah.
I got a couple I found. I got an Adam Burke joke. This is pretty good. This is about how it's hard to tell jokes about Donald Trump.
Okay.
So he talks about like the format of a joke and like the like he gives away how you make a joke, saying that you can't do it about him, and then he does it despite the challenge he's created. I just like this for the form of it. Oh, you can see Natasha's suitcase in the background.
It's very difficult to do jokes about Donald Trump. I know that's very surprising. People come to comedy shows and like it's going to be nothing but Trump jokes. It's very hard to do jokes about Donald Trump, and I'll tell you why. Jokes rely on pattern recognition. I either set up a pattern that I deviate from, or I create a deviant pattern that I then normalize. The problem with Trump is there's no fucking pattern. He's like one of those magic eye pictures. No matter how hard you stare, there's never a fucking sailboat. Like trying to talk about Trump is like trying to play chess against a machine. But not a chess machine, one of those machines that fires tennis balls out of a cannon. It's just you yelling the rules and trying not to get injured. That's all it is.
Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey enjoyed that, yes.
And then I've got one. So this one is anti-vaxxers and Jim Crow is my only note about it. Who's this guy? It says Quack. That can't be right. Do we have a name for this comic?
I can't see it yet.
It says A Goose on Quack, and then the name is Quack.
Huh.
Yeah. Well,
when they do that, that's on them.
Yeah, I know. All right.
One thing I do miss from the pandemic was the fact that we were able to put anti-vaxxers through Jim Crow laws. We're like, you're not locked up anymore, but you can't eat here. If you aren't vaccinated, you got treated like a black person in the 60s. It's like, hi, welcome to the restaurant. You vaccinated? No? Well, read the sign.
Oh, God.
Outside! And put a mask on because you make me sick. I told that joke to my grandma. She's like, Jason, how could you make a joke about Jim Crow? I was like, well, Grandma, this time I'm a white. One thing I do miss from the
That's very good.
Yeah. It's Jason King, as I got a name here. Jason King.
Nice.
Yeah, one of the most fucked up things from like Jim Crow is that they would like, if dogs ate off the plates, they would like wash them and reuse them. But if blacks did, they would like destroy the plates. It's like, it's just wasteful on your part, ignorant. Shockingly. Wow. Let's talk about how Jim Crow was ignorant. All right, let's move on into our
how about that?
How about that
segment. I have a clip here that I have titled Cybercoons. Jesus Christ, I'm just realizing why the timing between that joke and this is unfortunate.
Okay.
But it's about the Cybertruck and raccoons. Can you see why I did that?
I can see.
They're in two separate segments. I don't organize this show in order. I throw things into the show and segment them. I thought that was a good way to end that. And I thought this was a good way to start the rest of the show. In hindsight, I probably wouldn't have, at least wouldn't have called the clip Cybercoons. Here, can I play the clip?
Please play the
Jesus.
clip. Did you know raccoons are starting to attack Tesla Cybertrucks after they
see?
Yeah.
think it looks like a dumpster and are trying to pry it open? We first learned this when this Twitter user posted these two pictures and said the Cybertruck's bed vault is raccoon proof. And you can tell from the two pictures, the raccoons were all over the bed of that truck trying to pry open the cover. And you can tell from the second picture, they did some pretty serious damage where they bit off chunks so they could get their hands in there and try to pry it open. But this got people wondering, why are the raccoons
These little hands are so fucking cute.
attacking Tesla Cybertrucks when they never attack other people's cars, until someone made the connection that, you know, the Tesla Cybertruck looks awfully similar to a dumpster. And the reason they were trying to pry open the truck bed flap is because they thought that was the cover to the dumpster and they were trying to get to that sweet, sweet garbage. And while I honestly think that the Tesla Cybertruck is kind of a cool looking car just on the ambition of it all, I think this Twitter user put it perfectly when he said, oh, Tesla Cybertruck owners will say, no, it does not look like a dumpster, while the raccoons are out here saying, gosh dang, this dumpster's hard to open. Let's just hope this isn't a common occurrence for all Cybertruck owners who take their trucks camping, but I think it's bound to happen again. But that's my opinion. What do y'all think? Did you know raccoons are starting?
I mean, they do look like dumpsters, let's be honest.
They do. I love the Cybertruck. Every single time I see one, they bring me joy. Like I see one and I like, it's not, I know I'm going to sound shitty. I know that you're not going to believe me, but it brings this like belly laugh out of me every time. I'm not being malicious, but I laugh and I almost always point. You know, I'm like, hey, look, it's the meme. Like every single one of those people at one point or another, at one point is going to have to wake up and be like, yep, I spent $130,000 on a meme and it's not even insurable. Like Geico won't insure them.
They're dumb cars.
They don't have crumple zones.
No.
They don't, Alan. They
And
don't have
they'll
crumple zones.
And they'll smash your fingers if you close the trunk
Yes,
on
yeah.
them.
No, but we need to talk about that more. They don't have crumple zones.
No.
So when that was brought up, Elon was like, yeah, they will win in a collision. Nobody fucking wins in a collision. You're in a collision. So you're saying winning is killing the people in the other car because
Right.
your car doesn't crumple. Like,
yeah.
not to mention like the weight distribution and height because of the batteries and everything, just plow through K rails like nothing.
Oh yeah, like Swiss cheese. Yeah, I love the videos of them failing at being trucks all the time, like
sparking after they go through a puddle.
Right, or not being able to like handle even like an inch of snow, like
Yeah.
just bullshit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are like, oh, people say these aren't trucks. Well, how come it can do this? It's like, dude, my Camry can do that. I don't
Right.
know. Like when I was a kid, there was a dirt road by our house because they didn't connect the highway to the beach yet. So we'd have to take this 4-mile stretch of dirt road, and everybody we'd take like, you know, Volkswagen Foxes on it and shit like that. I took my Tercel on it. Like you just got to go slow, which is the speed they're going when they're saying, look at my truck. It's like, dude, whatever, man. Like you spend $130,000 on a meme that you can't even insure. Like, just, I know, you know. It's like religion. It's like, look, I know, you know that I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's ridiculous, indeed.
We had some Cody Tucker in the pre-show hidden track, but let's do some Cody Tucker. Do you know the origin? Oh, I almost spoiled it. Almost spoiled it. Let's just play the clip.
In 1866, two ranchers named Charles Goodnight and Oliver Loving established a 2,000-mile-long cattle trail. They took over 2,000 cows from southwest Texas up to Cheyenne, Wyoming. A massively important trail, but also insanely difficult to do. If you've ever seen the miniseries Lonesome Dove, the characters being played by Tommy Lee Jones and Robert Duvall were based on Goodnight and Loving. So, Goodnight and Loving needed an efficient way to transport food and supplies.
I don't want to get out of this story without saying a couple of cowboys riding off together. Goodnight, Loving. Like, come on.
Along this 2,000-mile journey. Charles Goodnight took an old Army surplus vehicle and turned it into a mobile makeshift kitchen. Charles Chuck Goodnight named it after himself and called it the Chuck Wagon.
How about that? How about that indeed?
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Did not know that either. Oh boy. Alan.
Oh, I see the caption.
James did it again.
We're in for it. Here we go.
Because if we become a cum-themed podcast.
We are. This is a minute long, dude.
Become a cum-themed podcast.
We are a cum-themed podcast. That's true. Okay. That's true. It's Jizbala, but it's kids playing with cum monsters. They've come across my eyes, came across my ears. It's my cum taste better, Alan.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Somebody isolate that.
The Atlantic is so fucking gay. Please like me. What an interesting wrinkle, huh? Sucks to be a woman where like you actually age.
I'll take the ding dong 10 times out of 10.
I prefer the racist. We'll put a finger in that. Have they considered storming their capital? Turns out there's blacks in this neighborhood. I guess they aren't that bad. Sissy's part of the Fagatola, like the Ayatollah of rock and roll. I'll take Dave's juicy double. You know what I'm talking about, Alan. Do you think I've said it enough that James is gonna have some fun with that?
The answer is
yes.
That was so good.
That's fantastic. Thank you, James. Thanks, I loved every second of that.
Oh, I hated most of it. It feels like we just did one of those. How do you get a whole minute of shit out of this? God damn it.
We just keep on coming.
How about that? I heard you, Alan. I know. We got a couple Aussie clips, at least one Aussie clip. I call it Aussies because once I put one Aussie clip into the show, I'm like, there'll be another one. I got a this is like Good Morning Australia or something like that, right? Or
okay,
looks like it's a Melbourne Today Show Australia. That's what it is.
What Carl and Alex got up to yesterday, because I assume we leave here in the morning and we all go home and we parent our children.
No.
It's what I do. It would seem they did neither of those things yesterday. They were watching some footy game in America, the Rams and the San Francisco 69ers play some rubbish game. 40!
49ers! That sounds much more interesting. Yes! A lot of people might pay to see them. That's what we were doing. The 49ers. That's much harder to explain to your wife.
How about that? You can see by her reaction, that was not intentional.
No, that's awesome. How about that, indeed?
Oh yeah, I already played it. Okay, good. Yeah. Man, we played Reagan in the hidden track. Here's a press conference from Reagan that I don't have any notes other than that.
Mr. President, what if you're
This is that guy. This is that Hoff Matthews guy that keeps doing the he imposes himself over historic.
Oh, yes. Okay.
He does a really good job.
President, what if your penis shrank down to the size of a raisin?
Remember when I was saying that?
I
got
do.
a little dick, but Nancy's like, Nancy gives great throat. You're like, I think we know what's going on there, Ronald. Wait,
I don't know.
Let's start it again.
Okay.
Mr. President, what if your penis shrank down to the size of a raisin?
I don't know whether I'd be able to tell or not.
That's great.
All right. Well, we're done with the let's get serious. Let's move on into
That's something.
we got to talk about Israel. See, it's innocent. I did the last 2 segments not realizing one clip led to another very well. This one, I don't have something like Cybercoons, which clearly sounds like cyber raccoons. Only a racist would think otherwise.
I think you can let it go, man. Just let it go.
I'm not
It's gonna
going to
be
let it
okay.
go. I'm going to call the fucking episode that. Put raccoons on there in a Cybertruck so that nobody gets confused.
I like it. Okay, I like it.
I'm gonna make them wear a do-rag.
That's unnecessary.
Okay. Why? Why, Alan? You say it. All right. Okay, here's Israel. This is big news. Honestly, this is like the type of shit that if it actually gets proven to be true, it's like literally treason. Although speaking of Reagan, it worked for Reagan. There's PBS NewsHour is reporting from the DNC. So the DNC is in the background in this, but this is PBS NewsHour. Well, here.
Oh, that Secretary of State Blinken.
Probably better if I tell you what they're going to tell you, just because. So Trump is calling. I am angry with the way that the State Department is dealing with the ceasefire deal in Gaza, or with Israel and Gaza, because they keep presenting it in only ways that make Israel look good. And Israel doesn't fucking deserve that. Like the US State Department keeps ignoring every time, like in terms of, and the media too. Like,
yeah,
this is why I like listening to anti-war, and y'all should listen to me because I filter that out and you get the good stuff. Like the US media just tells you when Bibi and Israel has agreed to the ceasefire. They don't tell you that Hamas has agreed to it, and then they give it back to Israel, and Israel's like, actually, I want 3 more things in there.
Yep.
And then they go back to it, and then
they've done it multiple times.
And then now the US says we endorse Israel's new escalation of the deal. So let's give it back. The ball's in your court, Hamas. It's like, no, it was in their court, and they added shit to it. So that keeps infuriating me because people act like, dude, like I'm not here to give Hamas much credit, but they have largely come to the table saying they're willing to like stop this for at least a time period. And Israel's like, well, that's not really good for me to stop this. So I actually have this demand that I didn't mention earlier before we gave it back to you for approval. I mean, tell me that's not how that's gone.
No, it's 100% how that's happening.
Well, here's
Hamas hasn't even been at the table for a lot of these recent negotiations.
Ever since we killed their leader. Not what?
But the Qataris have
since Israel killed their leader.
The Qataris have sort of been their surrogates, so they get the information, they transmit it.
Oh, why are the Qataris being Hamas's surrogates, Alan?
Oh, because
their leadership gets to live there for free without any consequence. Okay. Anyway, here's a little insight into maybe why BB keeps escalating the terms.
Know that Secretary of State Blinken is over there right now working with Netanyahu. The reporting is that former President Trump is on the phone with the Prime Minister of Israel, urging him not to cut a deal right now because it's believed that would help the Harris campaign. We know that.
Button.
Isn't that something?
That is something. That is something.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. It's what Reagan did with the Iranian hostages.
Yep, it is.
And he didn't get called a traitor. That's traitorous, though, right? Like, there's Americans there.
That is 100% traitorous. And you're talking about hostages being held that you're preventing from letting go. I mean, it's one thing to torpedo a border bill that was bipartisan that would have helped with immigration problems.
But it's right up there with that.
It's right up there with that. I would say the stakes might even be even higher in this situation, but it's pretty gross. It really is.
You know what though? It's not even surprising. Like I felt like I had to say this would be treasonous if it could be proven. Because if I didn't say that, I feel like people would hear this and be like, yeah, Trump did what I would expect Trump to do. It's like, well, that's not normal. That's not okay. Like, these aren't one of the 2 people who should be running for president things to be doing. Let's talk about the economy a little bit. We'll talk about elections. Most of what we're going to talk about in the elections coverage is the big news, other than the fact that the DNC has happened, is that both candidates released their economic policy or plan. So we'll stick with economics as we talk about elections. But before we get to that fully, I have a kind of long clip from The Economist This is kind of like, you know, the whole like nothing ever happens meme. We talk about that a
Yeah.
lot. There's all the nothing happens, nothing happens. There's never nuclear war. There's never recession. There's never a housing bust. You know, just
Sure.
it says I have to join. What's going on? Okay, there it is. Join album. It's my album. It's loading now. Okay, here we go. So this is from The Economist. It's about 5 minutes long, so we'll pause and have some thoughts on this. We may not even play the whole thing. Might not play any of it if it keeps giving us a spinning wheel like that.
There he goes. Maybe.
The first wheel went away. Now the second wheel's still spinning.
Mm.
My God. I'm refreshing it. I don't have the patience for this. That didn't make it better.
I think the Iranians might have hacked us, perhaps, you know.
I don't have patience for this kind of bullshit. I'll just play this on my fucking phone, dog. Okay,
There we
we'll
go.
see what happens first.
Okay. At this point, I'm betting on your phone.
Yeah, me too.
Numbers, both in the US and in other rich countries, have definitely been going in the right direction.
Nothing happens, right?
There were some fears early on in 2024 that inflation was rearing its head again, but those fears have kind of faded away. So that's
So
good.
the point of this
However,
clip is how, you know, we have a lot of fears about the state of the economy, and we kept hearing all about that. But there's a preponderance of good data telling us the economy is not as bad as our fears tell us it is.
Right.
And they're kind of highlighting that while addressing the concerns and not dismissing them, but giving you reasons why you can trust this information and probably not put as much weight into others.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
economists and investors that the US economy and by extension the rest of the rich world may be falling into recession, and that was basically sparked by a jobs report a few weeks ago, which showed that the US unemployment was rising and that job growth was slowing. But our view, looking at the inflation data, looking at the jobs data, looking at the output data, both in the US and elsewhere, is that the global economy actually is not really in danger.
So let's talk first about the American jobs figures and how that played into the fears that were around.
We talked about that on the show.
US jobs growth has been slowing for some time.
I know we talked about it on the show. You want people to just skip this?
No.
I have a note on here that says also Alan was right. I was say that. But now
Okay.
I won't.
Oh, God damn it.
Period in 2021 and 2022 where there were huge jobs numbers. What people are kind of
You
worried
hear
about
that,
is
Kevin? We argued about something. So Kevin, who doesn't understand anything subtle about politics, shockingly doesn't get the joke that we're the internet's only debate and current events show. And he's like, you guys never debate. I'm like, well, we also use the word only. So where are you finding your criticism?
it's nearing the point where jobs growth is static. It was about 100,000 a month in the latest jobs report, which is historically not very strong. I think more importantly, though, is that unemployment has been going up. So it hit a low of 3.4%, which is really very low, in April of last year. It's now at 4.3%. So that is normally associated with a recession, to be honest, if you look over the long history. And that is what has worried people. I'm less concerned about this really for two reasons. Basically, the business cycle after COVID has been very weird. Lots of things have been moving in strange directions. And I think the historical rules of the past are not very useful now.
Basically, we've never shut the global economy off.
Yeah.
Global economy back on. We've never unplugged the router and plugged it back in. But
Right.
so
Yeah,
perhaps the things that have always been like these numbers are a guarantee recession's coming don't mean the same thing anymore. They
Yeah,
will
or at least,
end,
or at
but
least those cycles aren't where they used to be. Like the peaks and valleys aren't necessarily where you would have expected them to be traditionally because of that.
I bet those numbers meant what they meant prior to that because they are good indicators, but they're not indicating the same thing in this unusual cycle that we're in post that.
Yes.
Which we can talk about quantitative easing. We can talk about
Stimulus packages.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that,
exactly. Yeah. $600 checks I never fucking asked for.
So just look at the unemployment question, for example. Yes, it's gone up from 3.4 to 4.3%. Not good. However, I think we have to bear in mind that there's two things that will be affecting those figures. One is the massive labor shortages that really have only recently disappeared. So a few months ago, employers would really take anyone they could because labor shortages were so bad. And that pushed down the unemployment rate. That's now kind of faded. So it's in a way not surprising unemployment's gone up a bit. And then the second thing is that we're seeing more people enter the workforce. Now, that's actually a good thing. It actually shows economic strength. In the short run, it can lead to unemployment going up because people who had previously said there's no point looking for work are now saying, actually, I think there is a point in looking for work. I'm going to register as unemployed and look for work. So in the short run, that can raise the unemployment rate. If we actually look at jobs growth across the rich world, it's been pretty strong.
I think I wanted to pause and ask for your opinion on that part, since that reminded me of someone I know.
No, I think that is a good sign. And there are, so when the economy isn't doing well, some people will just sit on the sidelines and say, it's not worth it for me to even, attempt to get in the game. And so when things are looking up, more people are willing to participate. And that's a good sign.
And we talked about that then. We're like, well, somewhat this number is misleading because some people aren't looking for work. Back when it was the other side.
And also the seasonality of it as well. The summer is,
It's summer, man. Why would I want to get a job?
Right.
There's one or two exceptions. Japan is one, but really everywhere else, jobs growth is pretty strong.
And what about other measures of output or of incomes?
Well, here, I think the story is much clearer. There's really no evidence of weakness here whatsoever. So, for example, look at corporate profits, which is a very important part of GDP. American companies' earnings look set to have grown by about 10% year on year in the second quarter of this year. It's a similar story when you look at corporations in other rich countries. Corporate earnings are doing pretty well, which is actually a pretty good sign. They would normally plunge in a typical recession.
Which I think is like that. I mean, I feel like that's the answer to fucking everything, right? Like inflation was bad. Prices went up. Jobs aren't as good as we want them to be. But the one thing that stands out is corporate earnings are like record highs.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to inflation, go back to prices.
Right.
Oh, well, corporate earnings are really high. There seems to be a common villain here, right?
Right. And corporations found out throughout that time period that the markets
People would be okay with,
the markets would withstand these price increases.
And a lot of those price increases were due for at least a decade, especially with fast food. I've said it before in here. Like fast food companies were saying for years, our margins are too low. I can't actually afford to pay for this food, but I have to be competitive. So we'll make a thin margin on this. And then they're like, oh, people pay $15 for a cheeseburger combo. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then if you look at other measures, so there's lots of other high frequency indicators that we look at. There's one called the PMI, which is a lot of people look at. That's looking pretty good. And then other real time measures of GDP, again, are pretty strong. You just don't really see much evidence of a slowdown whatsoever.
And completing the set of reasons not to worry, the inflation numbers are looking pretty good too.
Yeah, so bear in mind that the point of central banks raising rates over the past few years has been to reduce inflation. That's why they've done it. Inflation in late 2022 in the rich world on average was about 10%. That's really high. It's now come down really quite a long way. So in June, the median OECD country had inflation of 2.6%, which is pretty close to most central banks' targets, which is 2%. When in fact, about a quarter of countries are now at 2% or below. So in that sense, actually things are going pretty well.
And who
that
led
all
the way?
sounds like sensible.
And who led the way on those good numbers? We had the best numbers early.
We did. Yeah.
Numbers, but there is also the psychological end of this, namely the roller coaster ride on global stock markets earlier this month. What's your view on how that figures in here?
I guess
this is the part where Alan's right, and I'm still mad at you for being like, guys, don't listen to this. We talked about this. Got a whole show planned here.
I just say is no one knows really what causes stock markets to move up and down, particularly over short periods. So with that said, I would say there are two things that have happened. One is like a technical thing. There have been certain changes to interest rates in various countries that have resulted in money moving one country to another, which I think you can make the case has resulted in some stock markets being hit. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is more of a sociological thing. People have been worried about this recession for a long time, really since 2022, and it hasn't come, but people have been worried about it. And so there's a sort of sense that whenever there's any bad news whatsoever, people react very strongly. The markets react very strongly.
And we've been worried about recession for a really long time.
We have.
I mean, the whole reason that Donald Trump downplayed COVID at the beginning was he was afraid that if we restricted the economy at all, we would trigger a recession and he'd lose his political career, right?
That's also why he bullied the Fed to keep interest rates low when they probably shouldn't have. Yes.
Yep.
I think that's pretty good evidence of that. But I wouldn't read that as evidence of there being a well-formed view of a recession on the way. It's more like people kind of are very prone to panic at the moment.
And earlier you mentioned that some of the dynamic that's going on here is a switch around of the rules since COVID or because of COVID. Is that just waiting for that?
I think we're good there.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I've got is this yeah, this one's John Ziegler. So okay, I will
Get
say
ready, folks.
so it's John Ziegler, friend of the show that we
Mhm.
love to motherfuck because he doesn't listen. He calls himself a libertarian. He's kind of just a normal Republican pre-MAGA.
Yeah.
He has this bit. Well, this clip is him reading a Daily Mail news article.
Okay.
Not the greatest source in the world, but if you
Right.
listen in this article, they did get 4 sources for this reporting.
Okay.
Apparently, Biden and Nancy had a falling out. Why isn't it playing?
I don't know.
I fucking hate this.
Gotta play through your phone again.
Yep. Why not? Worked the first time.
Friend and political ally if he continued to ignore thunderous calls to drop out of the 2024 election over fears for his cognitive abilities. 4 sources close to the campaign told the outlet. Pelosi threatened to go public with her belief that her fellow Democrat wouldn't beat the Republican nominee, former President Donald Trump, in a rematch, and threatened to release humiliating polling data to back it up, the sources alleged. The demand was reportedly forceful enough for Biden to experience a quote-unquote come-to-Jesus moment where he and his staff began drafting the letter that ended his 2024 political campaign, which
And since then, they have not spoken, and now he's on vacation. He's like, "See ya, bitch. You want to talk to me? You got to show up one of those bikinis you did." And
Did they name the sources or not? They just said they had 4.
4 sources. Yeah.
Right. By the way,
This
in
is
Biden's
getting reported on the left as well, though. This
in
is
Biden's speech yesterday, he did say that the
fucking
report-
Nancy Pelosi. Is that what he said?
No, he said the reporting that he was angry about people pushing him out of the race. He said that wasn't true, which of
Well,
course
that's
is
just
something he would say. But and then I think it was the Daily had the episode about after he got COVID and he was in Rehoboth that he called a couple of his close advisors in. They went over the polling and kind of what the Democratic Party machine was saying, including donors and things like that, and told him, "Look, we can get you over the hump here, but just understand what the consequences of that."
You're going to be bucking the entire party,
Yeah.
the party, everything.
So,
You'll still be the candidate, but you're going to be fighting uphill.
Yep, and you won't have necessarily the backing of that political machine that you had last time. And so he slept on it, and drafted the letter the next day.
Wow, yeah,
that's the story.
I mean, it was a good decision.
I agree.
Yeah, he's got to know that. He's got to know that.
I think so too. And
You
honestly,
think he's
like
upset 'cause he never had a convention because the 2021 was during COVID.
I think I don't know. That seems kind of overblown to me. I know
Speech last night was pretty powerful. That was
it was, and the response.
He ended it with his line, like, "There's nothing we can't do when we do it together because we're America."
Yeah, and the response he got from the crowd throughout it was pretty. I mean,
Dude, they applauded for a minute and a half.
Yeah, there was a lot of love for old Joe out there. So I think that he's got to feel. I mean, I'm sure it's bittersweet, but if I'm in that position, I think you got to feel pretty good about the choice you made.
I get you.
Yeah.
So most of last week I was on vacation and I got to sort of experience what it's like to be a low information voter, right? Like I didn't listen to podcasts. I just, I had political conversations with Natasha's parents, which are conservatives. So I was like, whoa, is that true? Like, wow, So all of my like media bias was filtered by other people talking to me about things and telling me about things. So to a large extent, I didn't know much about this until really like yesterday and today. I knew it happened. I knew Kamala had released Kamala.
Kamala.
I knew Mrs. Harris
There you
released the her economic plan.
Yeah.
And then immediately everybody on the right was like, "Hey, we've been calling you a communist. You maybe didn't need to do a communist when you
manifesto.
Your economic plan." And then she had like a press conference or something where she sort of backtracked from it. But like immediately after that, her staffers were like, "By the way, New York Times we meant it. Like, she can say what she wants. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me play this clip from the Reason Roundtable summarizing it. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So I was like, all I'd heard was people's opinions about this. They took the Reason Roundtable to give me like a succinct bullet point of it that, yeah, they're libertarians, but they gave this pretty non-biased, I think. Maybe a little bit of color. Let me play it for you.
Which I'm going to call price gouging my eyes out. On Friday, Kamala Harris gave her first major economic policy address, where she called for, among other things, aggressive enforcement of price gouging in the food and grocery sector, subsidies of up to $25,000 for qualified first-time homebuyers, reinstatement of the child tax credit that was briefly in effect during the first part of the Biden administration, and she has also endorsed an idea from her opponent, Donald Trump: no taxes on tips. Who says bipartisanship is dead? Catherine,
all right.
which I'm going to call price gouging
twice. Okay. Like I said, she gave a speech right after this, or I think in a speech, right? Like on Friday or something, where she sort of hedged a little bit, and she explained a little bit more that, I just mean an antitrust. I'm just going to do an antitrust thing. Don't worry about it. Or like, there's already laws against collusion and price gouging. So, we're just going to enforce
what's there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in some ways I'm kind of for it, right? Like the whole stuff with, Albertsons and Kroger merging, things like that.
Yeah.
But like the right picks this up and goes, well, how come you haven't done this for the last 3.5 years? It's like, who's the vice president? Like, are you giving Mike Pence shit about anything? Like, no.
Right.
But that has been the response, because I tried to find clips for all this stuff, right? And I have to sift through all these right-wing people that are popular online saying things like, and Trump saying like, well, why didn't she do this for the last 3.5 years? It's like, man, it must really suck to not be clever and have to like rehash your same argument against a new opponent at the last minute.
Right.
Like,
newsflash, she wasn't president the last
Yeah,
time.
Exactly. This is her defending herself. This isn't like at her speech. This is a little like pop-up press conference thing. Like she walked up to the press and answered some questions.
Okay.
I'll tell you in advance, not a single coconut tree in any of this.
You unveiled some economic policies last week.
Yeah.
Can you explain how you're going to pay for those? And can you give us a sense of what other policies you want to unveil going forward?
Sure. Well, I mean, you just look at it in terms of what we are talking about, for example, around children and the child tax credit and extending the EITC. That is.
Look, I don't like fucking carrying water for her, but this is not the person that we've been making fun of for 4 years.
Not at all.
While she was vice president, she'd say all the school bus lines and the,
unburdened by what has been.
Yep, all of that, and just the passage of time. Remember that one?
Yeah.
This is someone that can answer a question directly and defend her position on things.
And the child tax credit and extending the EITC. That is,
Which frankly shouldn't be surprising. She was a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
All right.
$6,000 for the first year of a child's life. The return on that investment in terms of what that will do and what it will pay for will be tremendous. We've seen it when we did it the first year of our administration. We reduced child poverty by over 50%. So that's a lot of the work. And then what we're doing in terms of the tax credits, we know that there's a great return on that investment. And when we increase home ownership in America, what that means in terms of increasing the tax base, not to mention property tax base, what that does to fund schools, again, return on investment. I think it's a mistake for any person who talks about public policy to not critically evaluate how you measure the return on investment. When you are strengthening neighborhoods, strengthening communities, and in particular the economy of those communities, and investing in a broad-based economy, everybody benefits, and it pays for itself.
I don't believe, like, off instinct, I don't believe a politician when they tell me that things will pay for themselves. Yeah. But almost everything else she said in there is at least a good defense of something that I might have some qualms with.
Sure.
But do you get what I mean, though?
Absolutely. And I think that I talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago about how she sort of found her political footing. I don't think her campaign in 19 was effective because she was trying to be somebody she's not. This is more who she is. And she is a policy wonk. She can get in the weeds and she can answer those questions.
Yeah, but she'll be like, when you say a policy wonk, there's, I kind of reel from that a bit, but it's like, yeah, we got two bad choices here. We got predictably bad and unpredictably bad. Like
Well, I
we
mean,
used
she's
to have
not
unpredictably bad with senility, and that
right.
was pretty close to unpredictably bad,
Yeah.
and now it's like, oh, predictably bad sounds, I guess, pretty good.
And I mean, so it's not
Keep going with that. I
super. It's
interrupted
not
you
super
once.
clear to me how she will enact all of those things that she talked
Well,
about
that's
with
fine. That was what
the
I said
food.
when I was talking to Natasha's dad. I was like, in a sense, she's an empty vessel. So, like, it's like what you're saying are like I would expect you to have responses for me saying things like that about JD Vance. Like,
Right.
like sure, but I don't expect any of this shit to get done, right? Is that what you're saying?
Kind of. I mean, yeah. I mean, so there's things she can pass with executive order, but most of that would require legislation, which, unless they get the House and the Senate, that's not going to happen.
She's a socialist, Alan. It's so funny how every Democrat is a socialist, and every person who I'm friends with online that kind of like, I don't have time to listen to the news all that much, just falls for it every year. Like it was happening. I during our hidden track, I was like texting someone back. I'm sorry for being rude, but I was in the middle of saying something that's like, it's like, well, I'd rather not have a socialist country. It's like, also that I agree. Like, I don't think that Kamala Harris is going to be our entree into socialism.
No, not at all. Not at all. And no, I think she's definitely found her footing politically. I think that she's making a lot more sense on the trail. And yeah, the momentum is all there. And Trump's is going the opposite direction. We played some tracks of him in the hidden track. He just doesn't seem to have the vigor for his new opponent that he did.
Or vim. He doesn't have vim or vigor.
Vim or vigor.
Yeah,
Which you
usually
got to
still
have one.
Yeah, exactly. So I heard somebody describe what Kamala's campaign is doing, her promises, all these things, as popularism, which I loved when I heard it, because we've been struggling with what do we call this stuff that people keep calling populism
Yeah.
that isn't within the context of what we believe populism to be, right? But it's popularism, and like it's it's AOC, right? It's what I've been saying for years with a million other words. It's, if you don't have time to pay attention to the news, you come home, feed your family, watch a little bit of TV, maybe get some news on your phone. What can be delivered to you that'll sound appealing? Oh, they're not going to tax me on tips. I like that. And then both parties are like, we're not going to tax tips. It's like, I don't even want to talk about that, because like, I love the idea of everybody being tipped instead of paid, and the tanking the tax base.
That would be hilarious.
It's like, yes, that's the point. Spike Cohen had he's like, yes, shut up. That's the point. But it's not a surprise, like you were saying, that Democrats are appealing to their base, right?
Not at all.
And I don't expect it to go anywhere either.
By the way, can I just say, talking about populism, not popularism?
Yeah.
Got some good feedback about the interview with the forgotten populist author.
Good.
People seem to like that.
What'd you hear?
People just really liked it, and just his sort of the way he reacted to our questions and how willing he was. Like, he was a lawnmower man. You just pull the string and let him go. Like, it was a fun interview to do. But
the one thing that stumped him was techno-feudalism, and I was like,
right,
fine.
Right. But no,
I found something.
Yeah, I definitely gotten some positive reactions to that.
So one of her popularist ideas that I'm pretty for is they're gonna use all their antitrust power they've been leveling at Google and Microsoft, and they're gonna direct it at the merger of Kroger and Albertsons. Right now, that's the number 4 and number 5 grocery store in the country. They'll become the number 3 grocery store in the country. But the thing is, if I understand that grocery stores right now operate off very thin margins. I think it's like 1.6% margins usually what, like, overall the grocery
It depends on the category, but yes, overall they're pretty thin.
So I get that, which is by all measures a great way of determining if a market is competitive or not, if companies aren't making very much profit, right?
Right, yes.
That said, if I don't have the choice of going to that store because they have a sale this week instead of this store that has a sale this week, even if that just means every week they switch what's on sale, and I drive to one week and one the next, that will go away when Albertsons owns both of the stores, right?
Yeah.
So I am for the blocking of that merger. We talked about this when that happened.
Yeah.
And, I've got friends that work in that space.
So do I. It's so funny to me that so like Andronico's markets out here in the Bay Area is supposed to be like a sort of a higher end retail.
Is it like a
grocery store.
Gelson's or something? I've never heard of Andronico's.
it's supposed to be like it's the Safeway. It's owned by Safeway, and you put your same
Oh,
loyalty
did
cards.
they start in the last 20 years or something? Like
Yeah.
since it moved? Okay.
Yeah. It's so funny to me, like, because occasionally I'll pop in there because it's convenient or whatever, and I'll hear a customer be like, "Is this is like Safeway brand?" And then the cashier has to explain, "Yeah, we're the same company." Like, did you not know that? It's the same company with a different brand face. That's all
Right.
it is.
Right.
And there's like 5 of them that are, they're, Albertsons, the Safeway, and like they have a
Oh,
ton
yeah.
of
Right.
those
Right. Right.
brands. Yeah.
Yeah. Just makes people feel better when they.
Yeah, like they have choice, but it's not. It's an illusion.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not really.
like the Matrix. It's the illusion of choice.
Yes.
Another thing that's in her agenda was 3 million new homes built.
Mhm.
And the phrasing was something like they have to be sold to normal middle class people, not like the Black Rocks,
Right.
not
Saw
like
that.
private equity or right,
Hedge
just
funds,
snatching
yeah.
them all up. Yeah. Which again, that'll go a long way to help the housing market, get people on the property ladder. But at the same time, I kind of share the Nick Gillespie old man complaint where it's like, these like Gen Zs that are in their early 20s are like, I want a home. It's like, yeah, well, no fucking shit. I did too. I didn't buy my house until I was 40. And to be fair, I didn't think I was ever gonna. But if you look at the data, millennials are buying houses at about the same time that their parents were. Now, I don't understand it because they cost 3 times as much as they ever did. The only thing going against it is interest rates aren't 17% like they were in 1980. But
I
people
think a
could
lot
buy a
of
house with like 2% down back then too.
Yeah, I think a lot of boomers bought earlier than this current generation, but is that just my bias? Is that not
I
backed
think
up
it's
in
our
the data?
bias. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
I think that, our parents were always old, right? So
Sure.
it's like, they were 30, fucking,
Right, okay, that makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah.
They were in their 30s. Now we're old enough to be like, yeah, they were young. They were in their 30s. It's the time that you start accruing capital and have the ability to do that,
Sure.
But I think that will help. And I like the idea of an economic plan that says, let's build 3 million new homes,
I agree.
get rid of the red tape, things that get in the way of, because it's like, okay, here, let me put it this way, because I know that a lot of people be like, Dustin, this doesn't sound like you. I'm not for government incentivizing the marketplace by artificially keeping rates low and sending the message that money is not worthwhile. And then all these widget companies go make these elaborate widgets that take 20 years to develop. And by the time they go online, we don't need those widgets or it busted, right? Like
Mhm.
that's what happens when you meddle in the market in that manner.
Well, the incentive structure is backwards.
What's the worst thing that's going to happen if you allocate those resources towards building 3 million new homes? People will
Home prices go down.
Oh dear. Like
Yeah.
the worst thing that'll happen is people will be able to afford homes.
Right.
Like I would rather, have my house accrue in value at an ungodly rate. Something tells me it still will,
Yeah.
And I don't want to pull the ladder up behind me on people. I think that, it's by far like the two greatest like I can breathe moments in my life was when I started making more than 70K a year and when I bought my house. There's
Yeah.
just something, and that 70K number probably changed, but there was a time in the mid 2000s where if you started making over 70K, you're like, holy fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I made it. I can't fucking believe. Like, it's still not easy, but like, it's not like stressing every fucking day.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know?
You can actually take a
Yeah.
breath.
And that and buying a home were the two like greatest eases in my life in that manner. And I don't want anybody to not be able to feel this way,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a lot of the criteria is like if you can prove that you've paid rent on time for the last 2 years, you can get a good interest rate, right?
Yep.
So I like that. I'm kind of for that. I guess people wanted her to just talk about coconut trees until November, but and again, I don't think that's going to happen.
Well,
anyways. I don't think they're going to get that right because her advisors told the New York Times that includes $40 billion in subsidies. So it's like it's not what Congress is going to approve that, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, so there is risk associated with her starting to deploy like actual policy platforms.
On coconut tree.
Right. So because she becomes, for most people right now, she's sort of, like you said, sort of a blank vessel, right? They know of her time as VP, they know of her speeches and things like that, but where she actually stands politically isn't super clear for a lot of, I think, voters. So once she starts putting those things on paper, then her opponents can attack her on actual real things that she's proposing. but I don't see anything here that I think is particularly like crazily damaging.
I agree. So moving over to the other side of the campaigning, there is Trump, who said that he wants so Trump's everything's it's tariffs with him.
Yeah, he loves tariffs.
You would think this man is so obsessed with tariffs. Like if we found out that both his parents were murdered by tariffs, you'd be like, I get it now. I understand now. So actually, he loves tariffs. Well, maybe he didn't have a good relationship with his father. Anyway, so here he is lying about what a tariff is, and here, let me play it first.
A tariff is a tax on a foreign country. That's
Oh.
the way it is,
No,
whether you
it's a
like
tax-
it or not. A lot
it's
of
a
people are
tax
like,
for
no,
us.
it's a tax on us. No. It's a tax on a foreign country. It's a tax on a country
No.
that's ripping us off and stealing our jobs.
I think it's not there. He's just
Yeah.
gonna repeat that shit more. No, that is not true. That is not true. It's a tax on a U.S. importing company.
Right.
Like that.
And
What?
ultimately, it's a tax on the U.S. consumer
Well, because Costco is one of those companies.
Right.
So like everything, or Sam's Club, if that's what you prefer, right?
Whatever your
Like,
thing is, true.
where if you are importing things to the United States and you're slapping a now, so here's the thing. He starts off with it being a 10%, then he's like maybe 20%, maybe more. It's like, well, we need to make a fucking plan based on these types of things. So like
Right.
you saying chaos actually makes you an unappealing candidate. Like I said before, it was, high variability and predictably bad, right? And we removed the predictably bad with senility, and high variability looks worse somehow against Kamala Harris. Like,
Yes.
congrats, Don, you did it. Like, I don't know how. Like,
Well, and I've said on the show before, I'll say it again, is nothing the business community wants more than stability. Like they need to be able to plan, they need to be able to, forecast what they're going to buy, things like that, how they're going to manufacture these products. And instability is the worst enemy to any large corporation, well, any business really.
yeah. And also, it's not a tax on a foreign country. Just
No.
use listeners, let's use our brains together here. I know you're already thinking it. That's right. We can't tax another. How would you tax a foreign country? Use these words in a sentence and make it make sense. How you can't tax a foreign country
By nature, by the very nature of it
Definition
being
of
a
these
foreign
words.
country.
No, I'm not surprised he doesn't understand how taxes work. The man doesn't pay them. He hires Weisenberg so that he won't have to. But,
Fair.
Yeah,
It's a fair point.
treat
Yeah.
it like going to Vietnam. Yeah, but the thing is, like, he goes to his rallies and he lies to his own people. He lies to his own people more than he lies to anybody else, right? And they just believe it, so they never know the truth. Like, they don't know what we're talking about. And they're like, it's a tax in a foreign country. Well, glad we heard that from him.
Tax in China. Sticking it to
China.
China.
Tax in China because they're taking our jobs. Why is it so? Like everything that we were talking about with Kamala Harris earlier, all got ran through the ringer over the weekend by like ABC News. They were asking, what's his name? Mayor Pete was going on Fox and stuff and answering questions about that stuff. Where was ABC explaining how tariffs work to the American public? Like,
That's a
are
good
they just
question.
too stupid? Because that seems like if you're gonna say that I agree. I'm not thrilled about much of those things I said about Kamala. I might have said that they're palatable to me because she isn't going up there and saying, I don't know how this works, but I endorse 25% of it.
Yes, it's true. Yeah, that is a good question. I mean, I guess perhaps they just think it's not a headline that's going to sell. I mean, talking about tariffs isn't sexy, I guess. But I mean, it would be very easy to point out the things that he's saying are incorrect. It seems.
I'm just saying, like, here
We just did it.
Yeah, it wasn't hard. I like to think we
No.
were funny.
Yeah.
All right. This is a Trump clip. This is this is changing his mind about how I mentioned this earlier. So this is a clip of him. I don't know if he's saying it. I think they're just talking about it on the Reason Roundtable. They're reading something. This is about Trump changing his mind about how much tariffs might be, and I'll talk about it more after the clip. It's only 30 seconds.
Okay.
Is there no audio here? What is going on, Alan?
I don't know. Got to use your phone again?
Yeah, I'll use my phone again, but other ones worked.
Being my
Here we go.
some basic analysis. Okay, Moody's says a 10% tariff would lead to 2 million fewer U.S. jobs and a 1.7% smaller economy by
That seems bad.
2028. That would be worse, I guess, if it's 20%. But we didn't have time to model this again because
What was that number?
2 million less jobs and 1.8% less
10%
GDP.
tariff would lead to 2 million fewer U.S. jobs and a 1.7% smaller economy.
Yeah,
Seems
that's
significant
significant.
as fuck.
Yeah, those are big numbers.
But the point is, that was modeled off the 10% number he had said.
Right.
But over the weekend, he's like, it might be 20%. I don't know, whatever works. It's like, there's no whatever works. This is literally, everybody wants to call Kamala Harris a communist. This is literally how the Politburo sets pricings for, corn and fucks it up and everybody starves.
Yep.
Like saying, I'll just wing these tariffs and figure out what works. You just heard what the consequences are. Millions of people lose jobs. The economy shrinks. There is a reaction to this.
Yeah.
Like, you think prices are going up in inflation now? They're saying it'd be like 130% inflation based off the 10%, because as she's about to say,
by 2028, that would be worse, I guess, if it's 20%. But we didn't have time to model this again because Trump just keeps changing his plans in the middle of speeches. There's a little quote at the end of the piece, though. It's unclear what the guiding principle here is, like where these numbers are coming from, Watson said. Is it an effort to offset other tax changes, or is it just what sounds good to folks who are supporting these tariffs? That would be a big question. And that's the kicker of the piece. And some basic analysis.
Why does it play
Okay,
twice?
Moody's
Sorry,
says
stop.
a 10% tariff.
I'm accustomed to playing.
Oh man, 1.7% drop in GDP would be just.
That's his starting numbers.
That's a 10%.
Yeah.
And now he's just floating 20. Just see what sticks. Throw it at the wall.
So if he's jumping around like that, like the consequences of him doing that make Kamala look like everything she said before is set in stone, right? Like she supposedly had a big flip-flopper weekend, which is like one of their two avenues of attack, right? Communist, extremist, or flip-flopper, right?
Yes.
Like they could have used flip-flopper, but they can't because they didn't pick any other Republican candidate. Literally name one of the other people running. They wouldn't have done that. And
That's
here
true.
Republicans are stuck with this candidate. And I get mad because I don't like coming on the show for the entire time that we've done it and been endorsing or at least hoping that if we only have two choices as a Democrat. Someday, Alan, we will be doing a show where I will be happy about the Republican and you'll be telling me why he sucks and the Democrat is who you want.
Someday.
God, you were probably going to say something a while ago.
No, all I was going to say was that, yes, you are correct. They are stuck with that candidate, but that was their choice. And so that's what if that's what you choose, then that's what you get. I don't know what else to say.
Dogs, you get fleas. Is that what you're saying? That's the phrase, right? Sounds like the phrase.
It sounds right. Sure. I'll go with that.
So Kamala was asked something about this. I think I'm starting to say her name is like a hybrid between how I'm supposed to say it.
It's Kamala.
I know you've said that, but I just don't know how to like make my mouth shape and my tongue position do it. Anyway.
It is surprisingly difficult.
He wants to impose what is in effect a national sales tax on everyday products and basic necessities that we import from other countries.
This is on C-SPAN in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm guessing most people didn't hear.
Probably most people didn't catch this. Yeah.
I know. Luckily, she's one of two candidates, so this does get some press. But like how hard would it be if the media doesn't know how to fucking explain tariffs? This is, listeners, go back to 2020 and listen how mad I was when Joe picked her as vice president. Not happy about this. This is a good explanation as a candidate to your electorate.
Yes.
That will devastate Americans. It will mean higher prices on just about every one of your daily needs. A Trump tax on gas, a Trump tax on food, a Trump tax on clothing, a Trump tax on over-the-counter medication. And economists have done the math. Donald Trump's plan.
All right, we heard about that. I mean, just
can I just say that? So not only are those Trump taxes, those are regressive taxes. And what I mean is that those negatively impact people that make less money more than people in, upper income classes, because you're talking about basic necessities. You're talking about food.
Bare necessities.
You're talking about gas. You're talking about so when the prices of those things go up, the people who are hurt the worst are the people who make the least amount of money. That's a regressive tax, and that's a terrible thing to run your platform on.
The buzzing in the bees making honey just for me.
I understood what you
Okay.
were saying. Yeah. I just figured I'd just barrel through.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
All I could think about was the lyrics to Bare Necessities. No, you're totally right. I mean, I don't have anything to add to that. It was a good rant. Good one, Alan. I'll probably clip that and put it on the Instagram. There we
Sweet.
go. I'll end it with John Goodman singing that song, or whoever that was. Who was it in the animated Bare Necessities?
Oh, I don't remember.
We will definitely not be able to air this in Russia if we play. It's the weirdest thing. Whenever I play stuff with rights protected content, they're like, okay, as long as you don't monetize, it's fine in the US. By the way, it's banned in Russia. Why does that keep happening?
They care a lot over there.
Yeah, really care.
Things. They care.
Okay. All of that messaging would go a lot further if Biden repealed Trump's tariffs.
That would help.
Yeah,
that would help. I agree.
Yeah, but again, Trump can't call Biden / Harris unprincipled because him being him, he's him.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and if we are serious about, or if we are supposed to take him serious at 20%, that will make the trade war he had with China and the consequences that came from that look like fucking nothing. Like the 20%, we have not. This isn't similar to how he was president. If you don't like the tariffs that he put in that the Biden administration didn't get over, I agree. We should continue to fight them about that and make them look like hypocrites until they stop doing that. That said, 20% will be worse. Nothing compares to 20. It's
catastrophic
compared to that. Yes,
it's horrific. It's bad, very bad.
I think I'm done there.
Very bad, no good tariffs.
Okay, last thing on the economic, the two economic plans. Is it too much of an oversimplification to say Harris wants to lower consumer prices, namely in grocery, and Trump wants to raise them via tariffs?
I mean, it seems pretty accurate from here.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I don't know how much I can trust your opinion on that. Yes. I'm like, well, man, no, me too. That's why I'm checking with someone.
No, I mean, that seems like exactly what's happening. I mean, just look at the consequences of the policies he's talking about enacting and just draw the line. It's not that hard. That's just what that means.
Dude, you patted for me. Great. Thanks. When was the last time we checked in on RFK?
Oh, it's been a while.
At least a week since he hit that
Katrina
bear.
Faced with dropping poll numbers and a struggle to raise cash, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. seems to be looking for off-ramps from his presidential campaign. The Times has learned that Kennedy has repeatedly reached out to Kamala Harris's team, hoping to make a deal, an endorsement of her campaign in exchange for the promise of a cabinet post if she wins the election. Harris has so far not engaged. Last month, the Washington Post reported that Kennedy held talks with Donald Trump about a possible cabinet job in his administration, potentially focused on public health. People close to Kennedy have confirmed that Trump's team floated the idea of offering Kennedy a job, but have said the conversations haven't been definitive yet. When Kennedy first entered the race, polling showed he was drawing support away from both the Democratic and Republican campaigns equally. But more recent surveys show that now he could potentially be pulling more voters away from Trump. Katrina
Stop. Okay.
That's really
it's interesting to see how it's changed, right? Once Kamala was the change candidate, people were like, people that were more excited about an outsider somehow see Kamala as the outsider more than Trump was because he's former president and it's kind of getting boring, right?
Yes, it's been 10 years and we're kind of tired of there's a fatigue setting in.
Yeah.
But it is interesting to me because we had the video of that phone call with him and was it Trump, RFK and Trump?
Yeah. Yep. RNC.
Yeah, it was sort of hinted
at.
at.
Leaked. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was hinted. He said, we got something special for you. He's like, yeah, we can work something out for you. So it sounded like it was Trump pitching it to him.
Right. It's funny that now he's trying to reach out to the Harris campaign and be like, can I, hitch my wagon to this train? And I think she should not take those phone calls. I agree with her stance so far. Let that go to voicemail,
because this is the fucking corrupt bargain from the 1824 election.
The Harding, was that?
No,
No.
that's 100 years later. I'll tell you.
I'm sorry. I was thinking about Teapot Dome for some
No,
reason. I
yeah.
had that in my head.
What? Good job, Alan. Good job. Let me play this clip first. So this is his vice president.
Election in 2028 where we don't have to go around and spend tens of millions of dollars on ballot access. There's two options.
Dude, how does she somehow sound worse than him?
I don't know.
That we're looking at, and one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Waltz presidency because we draw votes from Trump.
Now's a good time to say when she was announced as a candidate, everybody was like, I thought she was a big lefty.
Yeah, people did say that.
So,
I didn't know about
like
her.
her worst nightmare would be a Waltz.
Right. It's kind of a
Harris.
strange thing for her to say.
Yeah.
Or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump and you know, we walk away from that and
You're so fucking bad at it. Here's how you sell that. We walk away, we join forces with Trump. We know that's not everybody's ideal, but if we can get on the inside of the campaign and actually have his ear,
We can sell some of our
steer
ideas.
him in the right direction.
Yes.
If you're worried about Project 2025, trust me, we'll make sure that, you know, your liberties are intact, blah, blah, blah. Somehow you get the word freedom in there. It's wild. The Democrats have been selling this shit on freedom. Like it's working. And it makes me happy that at least that is a successful catchphrase again. Like
Yeah.
both parties are willing to say that. But anyways, I digress. What did I digress from, Alan?
No, she's not doing well in this interview
Yes.
here as far as selling
explain to our base why we're making this decision. Not easy.
Clearly.
Yeah, not an easy decision.
A lot of people said we should get these guys on our campaign on our podcast because their campaign keeps wanting to do podcast interviews, and for some reason I didn't do it. That was very boring. That was incredible.
That was really boring. Yes.
That was very impactful though. That woman, in the most boring way possible, because she's Silicon Valley tech bro, was like, yeah, you know, we can stay in it and maybe cause Waltz and Harris Waltz to win, or we can join with Trump with no selling point, I guess, because we want power for power's sake.
She didn't really clarify what the point of
This is okay. So the corrupt bargain from the 1824 election. I believe if I'm right, spit on the ground. Andrew Jackson won the most popular votes, or no, he had the majority of the plurality, but he didn't have what today would be 270 electoral votes. Back then it was like 40. I don't know, right? So he had a majority. No, excuse me. He had the most of three people, Henry Clay and John Quincy Adams.
Right.
So, by the way, this is the first election where we did not have a founding father running in the campaign, but there was the son of the founding father, Quincy Adams. So Quincy Adams, Henry Clay, and Andrew Jackson all were running for president in 1824. Andrew Jackson got the most votes, but he didn't get the majority of the electoral. It was said that Clay traded his delegates for Adams to support Adams if he got the Secretary of State position, which clearly is what she's talking about, right? Joining forces, like joining the administration, right?
Right.
Like if there's a cabinet position, this is the exact same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
And for the next 4 years, it pissed everybody off that was a Jackson supporter, and they came back with a vengeance in 1832. And then we had the Age of Jackson.
Right.
But that's the corrupt bargain is a major part of American history. And they're just like, no, we'll do the exact same thing. And I'm telling you about that on your.
Yeah, we're not even trying to hide it. We're just
we're
throwing it out there. This is what we're doing.
That's wild, right?
That is pretty wild. Yes.
Okay. Right. So RFK is floating an endorsement with both of them.
Probably what a sellout to just be like, yeah, highest bidder, anybody like you want
That's
me?
what it comes across as, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like she's talking about an IPO.
Right.
The part I cut out on that, I let it run for a while before I hit the audio. She was talking about how they get like $13 million to keep the party going. We could have a real third party in 2028. Bitch, there have been real third parties. There was a time where I had a lot of hope for him. Like I was excited that if he was a serious campaign, like I knew what a lot of his drawbacks were, but I was like, I really have a lot of hope for him. And then he just fucking what is Aleppo'd all over the place, just like every other mainstream third party candidate. And there's more to this than, the two parties are keeping them down. These guys walked into every fucking rake, man.
Every propeller, every single one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, well, here we are at halftime. Let me ask you a couple of different questions I think I wanted to ask to end this, this first half. Hillary, at this point in her campaign, had over 200 plus policy pages or positions, right? That were like, you can find out like what these people stand for, right?
Right.
Keep in mind, this is Kamala's first attempt at like having anything out in the public, right?
Yes.
And it was like, we don't even know what this is. This isn't okay. Well, I'm not spoiling anything. Joe Biden at this point had actually, I think in 2008 had 110 page policy document. Guess Kamala's total. You can go by word count, pages.
I'll go 7 pages.
Not a single page of policy is on her website. Again, it's popularism.
Yeah, but it's also the fact that a month ago she wasn't the candidate. I mean, you have to give some credence.
You can put a couple things up there.
You could put a couple things.
Like did you see that the DNC they had like Joe Biden and they didn't do Control F and get rid of all the instances where it said Joe Biden?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Like in the policy platform.
Yeah, it was like 5 times that it happened in the policy platform. Yeah. Because she hasn't accepted the nomination yet. She's not the candidate.
Right.
But it had Joe Biden in it. They didn't just say this leader will. But I mean, like, look, and I'll give her shit for this, for falling in line with it. This is what we get from Trump. Trump used popularism too, right? In 2020, there was no position at all.
The policy platform, whatever Trump wants. That was
then they regurgitated that this year, but they wrote a bunch of it down. But it was like in caps at times, so it was very clearly Donald Trump's tweeting. Like it was his truth central voice.
Yeah, and then Project 2025 did their own side,
Yeah, and said, "Here's the real words."
Yeah.
And then when people found out about that, they're like, "What? We wrote it down." And like, yeah.
Yeah, we read it. We saw.
When people do that every year, it's like, yeah, but this guy, you got crazy shit in there. This guy's totally disorganized. Yeah. Oh, prove the crazy shit. Well, it's on page 900. All right. So Trump got more people to vote by like pissing people off. Popularism, right? By doing it that way, by having no real agenda, but just getting people irritated.
A negative campaign, yeah.
So, right. The problem was they came equally from both sides.
Yeah.
Like he created the empty platform. Kamala is running the same type of campaign, just with a positive message.
Sure.
That historically has been a successful campaign strategy.
Yeah. It turns out when you want to be the president of the United States, saying that the entire country is in a dystopic version of itself and we're all going to hell in a handbasket isn't necessarily the message people want to hear.
But it worked before. So
I think that was a very specific.
He did win an inside straight. Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not to be taken seriously, but due to all of this chaos, there have been people in the rumor mills saying that maybe Republicans want to change their ticket. Now, I know it's never going to happen.
Who would it be?
That's what I was going to ask you. I have an answer, but I want to hear yours.
I mean, they can't put Mitt Romney out there again, and he's not going to suffer that anyways.
They're not. Yeah.
It's going to be Josh Hawley. Well, that's just more of the same, though, right? Like fucking.
That's not a bad guess. You're being too serious.
Okay, it's Mitch McConnell
and Big Mike. I got
Big
one
Mike.
for you.
Okay,
Mike Pillow.
This is the B-side of our platter, sports fans. And I'm singing just for you, covered in sequins.
In the canyons of your mind, I will wander through your brain to the ventricles of your heart, my dear. I'm in love with you again. Cross the mountains of your chest, I will stick a Union Jack to the forest of your cheek. Through the holes in your string bag.
What was that?
I pulled out 2 red and white gummy bears.
Oh, nice.
Well, 2 total, 1 each.
Okay, good.
I call the clear ones white. White, is that racist?
No, I don't think so. I call them that
One
too.
time when I was a kid, I went to a baseball game with my grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
The racist thing made me wonder this. If you couldn't tell from my grandpa. I'm not saying my grandpa was a racist, but you know, these it was the greatest
different
generation.
time.
Alan, wait, hold on. That's not how you saw that.
It's a different time, you know.
That's what I was trying to say. What did I say? Because they learned, because they came so far.
Absolutely. So what was the story?
Oh, we were both getting ice cream in between innings.
Okay.
They would come in the little baseball caps. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And I wanted vanilla and he wanted chocolate. He was always getting chocolate. Oh, at the wedding, we had to pick our cupcakes.
Oh.
And you can only get a certain number of each flavor. I was like, well, I want extra chocolate chip. It was literally on the menu, chocolate chip, like, you know.
Cool.
In good riddance to old Joe. What was I saying? Oh, so when he'd order the vanilla and a chocolate, he'd say 1 white and 1 black. And I always thought it was weird because it was a black lady. And I was just like, I've never heard
that's a little bit weird.
that. Yeah.
That's a little odd.
Maybe he thought it was funny.
Maybe.
You know, dark sense of humor, Grandpa. I did have a question about peeing.
Okay.
This happened at the airport.
All right.
And it's something I've thought about before, but you know, like as much as guys like to talk about, you know, about locker room talk, I've never heard anybody mention this before. Do you ever go up to the toilet? Probably at home, because if anybody saw you do this, it'd look weird. But I was in a stall and I walked up and I just lifted up my pant leg and pulled my little dick out through the bottom of my shorts on the side.
Okay.
Have you ever done this?
I've never done this. No.
You've never done that?
No.
Listeners, if you've done that, let me know on the DM.
When I was a kid, I do remember like
listeners, show me. No.
Poking it through the, you know how you can open the flap on the front.
Yeah, that was always inconvenient, right?
Yeah.
What was even the point of that? It couldn't have been to do that, right?
I tried it a few times and I was like, why this doesn't work at all.
Well, because it pinches more than anything. So the shaking is misleading, and then you put it back in. And
although it does kind of hold it steady. You can just kind of let it, you know, do its thing.
Yeah. Unless you got a fire hose, Alan. You got to hold on to that one. Don't know what I mean?
Totally, Dustin.
Same. Let's get into the Trump cult. This is what we do in the second half to start things off. This is Trump says you know the old like rock band joke where they're in the wrong city and they say thanks Detroit and it's Cleveland, right? Yeah,
sure.
He did that.
Somehow, would that be okay, North Carolina? I don't think so, right? They want me to speak all day. I don't know.
He's in Pennsylvania.
Somehow, would that be okay, North Carolina? I don't think so.
These things happen.
Yeah, I suppose it happens. He's got a lot of shows.
Yeah.
This whole thing is like, you know, being so relatable and like connecting with everybody, right?
That's supposedly
So
sure.
it gets away with like well, because that's what everybody always says. Like if you saw this guy in a room, you'd understand. Like,
Right.
He just speaks to people. I don't know
Ability
why
to
it's like
charm and win people
Yeah,
over.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad for me slightly. Just keep going with that, Alan. I forgot I had one more thing that was, and now my fingerprint doesn't work.
No.
Give up on the fingerprint and let me do this pattern.
There's a pretty lady talking to the DNC, but I don't know who she is.
Really? It's normally the Republicans that do that. Do you see that lady that was up there yesterday? And she's like, I don't remember the tribe, but some tribe called me woman with a strong voice. And it's like, you got called loudmouth woman and didn't get it.
I did see that. I did.
Uh,
I will say that Biden's speech, you know, the most recent speeches we've seen him, his voice was very like kind of low and raspy. He actually was projecting in this speech last night. He still had some flubs, but it sounded more like the Biden.
Well, he's good on a prompter.
Sure, but even with the prompter, he wasn't projecting his voice well on that.
I see. Well, he knew he was going out with a raw. He pounded the
You know
podium
what?
at the end.
Yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
did a little. He
Literally,
actually
he's like, he went to vacation. He's like, I'm done with this.
Yep.
Let me know if Israel does anything.
He
By
dropped
the
a
way,
couple-
back in March, this came out today. By the way, I'm on vacation. Back in March, we changed our nuclear posture in terms of China, North Korea, and Russia. Be prepared for them to gang up on us. Just be on defense. I'm going to California.
He did have a couple more spicy takes than I think normally would have been in that speech if he were still president. But yeah.
Yeah, a little more, you know what? I don't have to worry about a re-election.
Yep.
I suppose.
And a little bit more like who the hell does he think he is kind of stuff.
Right.
That maybe he wouldn't have done. It was just kind of jarring to see him there on the Monday of the convention when you were expecting him on Thursday, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
When the closing band becomes the opening band is kind of strange.
Trump went out on the Monday, remember? Oh, when the closing becomes the opener.
Yeah.
Trump went out with his ear, remember?
Yeah, he just kind of waved to the crowd.
Okay. No, he sat through Lee Greenwood's.
I know. Yeah, but he also waved.
Did you hear they made $300,000 off that? That was it.
Is that all they made?
That's a lot for $60 Bibles.
That actually doesn't seem that much to me. That seems like
doesn't, right? But this guy loves a scam, you know?
It's fair. Yeah.
He's like, I just do it for the game, man.
Just
It's like
the love of
Slippin'
the game.
Jimmy. Yeah. All right. This is him trying to say the word powerful. He actually says it better than me. He nails it the first time in this clip, and then he goes back to it and he says it weird.
We will make America powerful again. We're going to make it powerful. We will make America powerful again. We're going to make it powerful. We will make.
I think that's going to end up in the soundboard. I just
That definitely should be in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is JD Vance. I think he starts doing my note. I don't remember this clip very well. I think I did this sometime before the vacation got heavy. The JD Vance, my note is Kamala Epstein. Let's see where this goes.
Oh,
wow. Kamala Harris control over inflation policy, Shannon. It's like giving Jeffrey Epstein control over human trafficking policy.
I mean,
Is there a human trafficking policy other than the CIA?
Did you see your boss's name on those flight manifests? Maybe don't bring that up. I don't know. Like, what are you doing, bro?
Yeah, no shit, right? And not just those, the unsealed cases.
Oh yeah,
recently, yeah,
a
bunch of shit. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, and then it's like I don't even remember what he was comparing it to now. It was Kamala Harris and the economy, was it?
Yes.
All I remember from that is what the fuck. Like, yeah, it's not. So the people that encouraged him to be vice president was like Donald Trump Jr., Elon Musk, you know, all these people who are very online.
Yes.
Put the Twitter personality senator.
The Twitter bot.
Yeah.
That's actually a really good point.
Yeah.
That makes a lot more sense.
He tries to do Twitter in real life, and it's just like not cool.
He just implodes on stage.
Yeah, exactly. Like Twitter's all about like throwing that shit up there, and if anybody sees it, it gets some traction. Like even people that do that have duds, but they don't do it in front of an audience where there's like a smattering of applause, maybe, right?
Yeah. It doesn't quite work.
This reporter, though, so let's see a highlight of some Trump supporters in a man on the street interview.
What do you think of Kamala Harris?
I don't know Kamala Harris.
She's supposed to be taking care of our border and she didn't. And maybe someone needs to check her paperwork because from what the rumor tells me is she's not supposed to be running for an office.
What the rumor tells
spicy.
me. You know, the common phrase, what the rumor tells me.
What the rumor tells me.
Really?
Yes.
How so?
Something to do with her parents and when she was born.
Even though she was born in Oakland?
Yeah, you have to check the paperwork.
Then why the fuck are you talking about this like you know anything about it?
This is
You know Kamala Harris?
We should. She don't really know stuff about what to do in the Capitol.
I don't see her stacking up against Trump, especially when she laughs at every single question that she's asked like a hyena, and she
hyena.
Hyena. I'm glad you got that too. And she can't.
She doesn't have that best wording with sentences, even against Biden. She doesn't have that best wording with sentences, even against Biden does. She's very.
It's so hard not to just pile on.
I know.
I'm just
First
like-
grade with the way that she speaks, like, you know.
Actually, hold on, that's better.
With the way that she speaks, she's very first grade with the way that she speaks. Like, you know, she calls a school bus yellow. We know it's yellow. I mean, she speaks like a first grader.
And Trump speaks more articulately.
Well,
she's not the best with the wording, you know.
Yeah,
That's all I gotta say. It's so hard not to just, you know,
making me feel defensive of it.
I know. I'm trying not to do.
I can do it. Yeah, we don't have to. I stopped putting those at the start of this segment because it's gratuitous.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's good. This is Trump talking about how he doesn't respect Kamala and he feels entitled. He's like, I should be able to have personal attacks. So look at this. Also, this is another one of those low energy ones.
Very angry at her.
It's the one that you said that's just sad.
Yep. I think that's what I responded to. Yeah.
That she'd weaponized the justice system against me and other people.
She was vice president. It's just like, I was going to say this about Joe. I'll just say it about her. Nobody fucking listens. Nobody cares. You know, people that like me are going to believe what I say anyways.
People very angry at her.
Wait, hold on. I'm very angry at her because she weaponized the Justice Department, right?
That's what he said. Yes.
In 2017, didn't Donald Trump
weaponize the Justice Department against Clinton?
Against Hillary Clinton, and that ran until like 2021.
Yeah.
I think at least into 2020. Yeah. So he's like, nobody's ever, you know, looked into their opponent before. It's different because I was the president. In fact, I'm immune. Wait, don't you mean that you're innocent? No, I'm immune.
I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence. And I think she'll be a terrible president. And I think it's very important that we win. And whether the personal attacks are good, bad, I mean, she certainly attacks me personally. She actually called me weird. He's weird. It was just a soundbite. And she called JD and I weird. He's not weird. He was a great student at Yale. He went to Ohio State, graduated in 2 years, at the top of his class, and all of these different things. And we have this guy that's running a very failed state, who's had a terrible career.
That you congratulated personally on a conference call.
Yeah.
I mean, you have him saying they're weird. No, he's a weird guy. And
I'm not going to listen to some guy call a coach a weird guy. I want a coach. I want somebody who can talk ball, right? Like,
absolutely.
We haven't really had that since, Ford, obviously. Ford and Nixon.
Yeah. I was just going to say Nixon.
Yeah, because he would like remember people.
Well,
like,
Hunter S. Thompson talks about it in Fear and Loathing. He talks about going on a car ride to like the airport with them, and he could just talk about football for like an hour straight, and he actually knew everybody and what their positions were. Yeah.
I forgot I've read that chapter. I didn't finish the 7. I'll listen to that one next.
Weird in her policy. Who wouldn't want to have strong borders? Who doesn't want to have lower taxes? You know, all
that we like had a bipartisan. That's why I'm saying we
right
opportunity to actually have that.
And you torpedoed it.
Yeah.
My life, I've watched as politicians campaigned, and I've always been on, for the most part, on the other side, on the side that these people are on. And they always talked about, we're going to reduce taxes.
Pointed to the audience. He was like, these people, he's talking to the reporters, but he points at the voters.
Right.
This is the only campaign I've ever heard where they're saying, we're going to increase your taxes. And then,
motherfucker, you're trying to add a tariff. Done with this clip.
I will say he is pretty honest in that clip, which isn't often the case when he talks into a microphone. But he really does have disdain for Kamala. Like, it's almost palpable. You can feel it.
Oh, you'll hear it in this next clip.
Okay.
Do you want me to play it already? Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
go for it.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Got excited. Hold on.
Kamala Harris is a radical California liberal who broke the economy.
He's looking down and reading off of a note. This is just not like him.
It's
right?
really not.
He's like, if I don't have it written down, I know what to do. I could do it by heart about Biden. But he's like, okay, Kamala.
He's just out of his element. It's so
probably
bizarre.
spelled Kamala. And he's like, if I don't look, I'm going to say Kamala like Dustin. And I get in trouble when I do that.
Can't do that.
One thing, because I don't want to interrupt this one again, about right after this clip, because this is on Fox News, there's footage of this where right after this clip, he's about to blame Kamala for the
economy.
The Dow is at 40,000 in the corner, and they get rid of the graphic for the Dow.
Oh, I saw that. Yes, that's very funny.
Kamala Harris is a radical California liberal who broke the economy, broke the border, and broke the world, frankly.
Broke the world, Alan.
Damn.
Broke the world, frankly.
Broke the world.
Yeah, and then like right after that, he's like motherfucking the economy, and then they were like, "Well, we got to get that Dow watch."
Yeah, we can't show up market. That wouldn't work.
Yeah. Now they might have been going to commercial, but I think normally everything goes away off the Chiron at once.
Typically, yes.
Yeah. Let's get to some of the best of the right. This is Kellyanne Conway talking about Kamala Harris. I think I said it right.
You said it right that time. Yeah.
Okay. Mrs. Harris.
Good looking. She's so smart. She's so wealthy. She's so funny. She's close to her mom. She goes on really cool vacation. She'll never break your heart.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Keep making those ads. Listen to her.
She's so good looking. She's so smart. She's so wealthy. She's so funny.
That's so funny.
Why do they keep doing that?
I don't know. It's
Kellyanne
hilarious, though.
I understand Kellyanne has some insights in the realm, so like I won't completely dismiss her, but it's like there's other people that can do that aren't like these names. Like I don't like George Conway. Like everybody touts him on the left. They fucking love that guy. Yeah. No, I don't like that guy. That guy was instrumental to the right-wing media ecosystem in the 90s. He was the one that was pushing all the stories with Linda Tripp, and dude, don't get me fucking started. I want to pull a thread and unravel the whole. No, we don't have time. Do we have... Okay, look, I want to unravel a conspiracy theory, but I'm going to warn you, it's fucking boring when it's explained.
Okay.
Vince Foster. Do you remember that name?
Yeah. Clinton's.
Yes. He was the very beginning of the Clinton kill list.
Yeah.
So Foster came to DC from Arkansas, from the Arkansas team.
He was a lawyer, right? I think
he got promoted to some position that was sort of like, thank you for being loyal and getting us here. Mm-hmm. And he was in charge of the a scandal. He was in charge of some scandal. He was the travel office. So like the travel office of the White House, I think, or just in general. So there was, remember all those stuff in the 90s was like these people were getting, helicopter rides to their golf games and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was a huge scandal. He committed suicide. He went, they fired him. He went back to Arkansas and he committed suicide. Now I get the other version of that where, they got rid of their problem by killing him. How? The scandal already happened, whatever. Like, but they tie that to other things. So the reason that there's mud in our minds about that story is people like George Conway. So he
spun up his ability to communicate via media to
him
capitalize on those stories.
Him and Gingrich conflated that with the fact that since he came from Arkansas, then also this Whitewater scandal is related to them in general too, right? And like, look, I don't know how to be the person that tells you this. Suicides are almost always disappointing for a number of reasons, aside from the most obvious though. Like people's reasoning isn't anything where you're going to be like, oh, I get it. Yeah, I would have killed myself. That's like for the fucking movies, man. Like it made sense in that person's psyche. Am I?
Yeah, no, you're fine.
Like, it does suck that it doesn't really make sense that he killed himself over that scandal, but that's probably what happened. Gingrich and people like Conway spun that and made it up into other shit than that they had. And it gained prominence because Clinton permitted a special counsel.
Mm-hmm.
So there was an investigation that went into all of that. So guess who was one of the last people to see Vince Foster alive?
Who?
Linda Tripp.
Oh, wow.
These names are overlapping for no reason, right?
Right.
No,
Yeah.
there is a reason. The people I just told you that made sure the dots connected. So Linda Tripp was Vince Foster's assistant. She was hired under the Bush administration. She felt convinced without evidence that there was a cover-up about it. So she took that like hatred for the Clintons that she had because she was a political animal in DC at the time, underneath all the stuff I'm talking about. What's Linda Tripp most famous for, Alan?
The Monica Lewinsky thing.
Pretending to be her friend and wearing a wire and recording all
her.
the stories about her and Bill.
Yes.
Because she hated the
She had an
Clintons.
axe to grind, yes.
And she believed that there was a cover-up about her boss.
Oh, I didn't connect that.
But there was no evidence for it. There's never been evidence. There's been investigations. There's not good evidence. I'm open to having my mind changed, but I haven't seen that.
And George Conway and Gingrich spun that story.
Yeah, exactly. He was part of that.
It has been surprising to me how willing people on the left have been to sort of rehabilitate these neocon figures from the 90s who became never Trumpers and all of a sudden they're on our team.
Yeah.
That has been a bit shocking.
Yeah, no, fuck a George Conway. So speaking of which, do you know why Monica Lewinsky had so much time? I told you, I got a whole thing I'm unraveling here.
Okay.
Do you know why Monica Lewinsky had so much time to be spending around Bill in the first place?
No.
You're like, oh, she was an intern. Why the fuck does that matter? He's got AIDS. Like, well, I don't know if he has AIDS. I've seen him recently. So Republicans shut down the government.
Oh, right.
And so it was all of the interns that were picking up slack to keep things running unpaid during all of that time period.
Oh, wow.
So she had increased interaction with Bill. That's when it started. Was Monica Lewinsky the original work wife?
You might be onto something there.
Kenneth Starr was one of his assistants was Brett Kavanaugh for a while.
I knew that.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know that when they threatened Lewinsky about her false affidavit, that Clinton always behaved appropriately? She's like, he always behaved appropriate with me. They threatened her with 27 years in prison, but later on, everybody was like, we know that's never been charged. Like, nobody was actually
know that. No.
Yeah, they just did typical strong arm shit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They called that Operation Prom Night. Jeez. All right. So let's just go back a bit. So I'm sure that Linda fucking Tripp is just by coincidence at the center of two of the biggest scandals in the Clinton administration that led to the whole theory that they kill people all the time, which is awfully suspicious. There seems to be a lot of bodies. Clear away the bullshit and what's left. Like there's a partisan axe to grind, like you said, a shocking suicide, which is never satisfying. People searching for answers and happy to find other reasons. They're just willing to ignore unsatisfying answers, like the shame from the scandal, right?
Wow.
Yeah, that's the entire genesis of the Clintons.
You said that was not going to be an interesting story. I think you're wrong. I think it was.
It was a very long story.
Thank you for sharing all that, though. I didn't know all those things.
Sometimes I worry about going too off track.
No, that was fun.
All right. Do you have any idea where we are? Oh, Kellyanne Conway. I think we were done with her. She's very attractive. I'm Kamala Harris. I have pretty discussed.
She takes great vacations. I don't know what we're doing here.
This is pretty rough to listen to. I'm not going to play this whole clip. So listeners, I'm probably going to punch out when you've had enough too, but the caption on this is pretty accurate. This is so fucking embarrassing. Nancy Mace has had some really good spots in the spotlight where like she had really good quotes during the whole Ivy League professors being brought up.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, yes, yep. Even an idiot can be right every once in a while. She can't just say that what something Trump said that was offensive is wrong because they're all so fucking scared of daddy. Listen to how bad this is. I'm going to play this up to the point where somebody says it shouldn't take courage, because I feel like that really, like, it's like, okay, we've pulled it's okay. Say it.
Vice President Harris's race and then suggesting that she's not actually black. Why is he doing that? Should he stop?
Well, I mean,
Yes or no?
I didn't hear him say it. I
I love that there's a black guy next to her and she's like, "Excuse me, I'm the white woman."
didn't hear what he said about her race. I am not going to weigh in on her
How'd you
race.
not hear that?
As a woman, I
did
like
say it.
Okay.
She's used that before. She's used that one before. Like, well, I didn't see that. You're telling me that. Okay. It's like, so fucking comment on it. We're not all lying at you.
Well, as a
He definitely
woman,
said it.
I want
She
to weigh
turned black,
in.
he said. He said she was
It's
raised
you as a
Indian.
woman. You want to be as a black, I'll be as a woman. This is intersectionality. I fucking love this.
She was Indian.
Also,
All
your
knew
job
now
is
she's
to
not black.
commentate on politics, and you haven't seen the guy, the biggest story of that week. to
He's
say what
only
he
the people
said.
you've put all of your eggs into.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
Still not out of the phrase word.
Race, she's a mixed race.
He said that to the National Association of Black Journalists.
Right.
He went to, and he said at the same event where he said he'd done more for black people than any president in history.
I guess here's the thing.
When he was president, wages for women were better than they've been in a
Congresswoman-
long time. Wages for blacks were better
The
than they've
lowest
been in a
black
long time.
unemployment rate in history. It
He
happened
did a
under
lot
Joe
of
Biden.
good. He did a lot of
Congresswoman,
good
let me just finish this
for
to both
people
of you.
from all walks of the
This
country.
doesn't take that much courage, honestly, to just say that was out of bounds.
I don't know what he said. I didn't see
He
the
said
end.
that she turned black. He questioned whether she was really black. I don't think that's that hard to say. That's out of bounds. Can you
She's so hot though.
She can't say it.
She can't.
say that?
I mean, I didn't say it, and I would not
just
say it.
yes. Just say
Like, nobody's asking if you said it. Why are you saying other things?
God, that's actually frustrating.
I know.
It's just like, come on.
Frustrating.
It's right there.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Can't say it.
I didn't say it.
I didn't say it. I didn't hear him say it.
Oh, I didn't hear him say it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like.
How did you get here? How did you get here?
Right.
Explain to me how you got here with this bullshit. Like, people
Yeah.
are going to reelect you? God.
Unbelievable.
I'm going to play a clip for you from a show called The Five, Alan.
Oh,
Guess what time it's on?
5 a.m.
Guess what?
No, 5 p.m.
Guess how many people are on the show?
Oh, 5.
Yes, very creative over there at Fox. You know they're proud of this, right? They're like, listen, it's the 5. There's going to be 5 of them. We'll do it at 5 p.m. It's perfect.
Very clever.
The largest crisis you've ever seen a campaign face.
I mean, this is like Obama's tan suit. I don't even know. We should just pre-impeach. But Jessica, she did explain why
Pre-impeach?
she likes Doritos. She said after she found out Trump.
So something about she likes Doritos. So they're going to show a clip of her like buying Doritos in a store or something.
And this
I
is
don't
the
know.
tan suit scandal of Harris's campaign.
Dude, at the DNC, did you see she went out in a tan suit?
I
yesterday?
did see that.
You
yes.
did? Did you notice that?
I did. She looked good though.
It looks good on brown skin.
Yeah.
Like, I think Joe would look pretty frail up there in a tan
I think
suit,
so
right?
too. Yeah.
Unless you're up there selling chicken, buddy. Get the fuck out of there.
1 in 16, she sat there with like a big family-sized bag of Doritos and ate the whole thing. Yeah. She obviously eats her feelings, and when she experiences
Jesse
anxiety,
Waters, man.
she puts a lot of food in her mouth. I'm worried if she's elected commander-in-chief, she's going to become so anxious, she's going to end up looking like Walls.
There we go. I was waiting for that.
Oh wow.
Right?
He got there. He
Yeah.
had to push that boulder up the hill, but he got there. He got
Kamala eats her feelings, and she's gonna look like Walls. Like,
Jesus. That's the
Yeah.
best you got, bro. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know. Because my excuse for them is they're not news, they're an entertainment show. That's how they won their court case, right?
Right,
Did they lose their court case?
They
but
lost
used
it.
That, argument.
They
That was
still-
their argument. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean, they're admittedly trying to entertain, and it's still not even that clever. I mean, it's funny for us. I don't know why you're giving podcast fodder like that. Fodder.
Hello,
What's this
Potter.
one? This is we're moving on to Best of the Left. So did you see this? Did you see this? You heard of this at the Democratic National Convention? There's free abortions and vasectomies.
Oh, I think I missed out on that, Jay. I don't remember.
There will be a mobile health clinic at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago to give free vasectomies and abortions. If they're Democrats, how are they going to know which one they need? Well, how are they going to know which one they need?
This is funny coming from a guy that looks like he would never need either.
That's
You know what I'm talking about, Alan?
Exactly, sir.
You know what I mean?
Lighthearted, fancy free.
You know what I'm saying? It's still a sick burn.
Well, hopefully they can do both procedures on the same person at the same time just to cover their bases.
That's it. We got it. Ba-ding.
Wow.
Ding, ding. So it's free abortion pills.
Mhm.
And I dropped some. It's free abortion pills and vasectomies. So these are for people now. So everybody, when I tried to find a good, I had to search through, I scoured through plenty of opportunities for clips.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Most of them were just bad audio, and it's just people on the right being like, "Tell me that the left isn't for killing babies when this is what they do at their convention." It's a couple miles from the convention. Yes, they did do it there because they figured people are coming here from all over the country. Maybe they came from a state that recently made this illegal. We are actually Planned Parenthood. This isn't the Democrats that are doing this. I mean,
Right.
yes, you've made Planned Parenthood Democratic. Good job. That's your fault. Like that part of this story you made.
This is like the Olympic Village having all the condoms. You're like, well,
It
everybody
is.
come out here. They're going to want to fuck. Like,
Yeah.
clearly, we need to have some solutions to that. So let's.
Okay. Yeah, it is. It is like that. Yeah, but I mean, the abortion pill and vasectomies is hardly, they're churning out abortions left and right. So this guy
Yeah.
was going around in the crowd. The audio is blown out on this. So he's harassing this lady, and she fights back so good. This is internet jerk off, Jack Posobiec.
How many abortions have you had? How many abortions have you had today?
DNC. I'm getting paid by George Soros to have an abortion on the stage with no drugs.
Which way you going? Which way you going?
What do you mean, which way?
Which type of abortion?
What kind of abortions are there, Jack?
There's pills, there's tools, there's a number of ways.
So it's going to be on stage. So a normal person would think that they would use tools, right? And vacuum it out and do all of that. Like if I took a pill that takes several days and nothing happens, you won't see anything. So you should probably study how female anatomy works. And
how many abortions have you had? How many?
He was not ready for. Hey, that's not the goose. That's not the goose you want, Alan.
It's the goose you deserve. Fuck that guy. He's
that guy's.
Anytime he gets owned, I love it because he's an asshole.
Yeah. I think we had more stuff about the DNC to talk about. You were telling me something about Sean Fain.
Oh yeah. So he came out yesterday and he was, he did his normal labor speech. He talked about how Biden had been the only president to actually cross a picket line, and how Trump was the opposite when it came to labor negotiations, didn't support them at all. And he was wearing like a sport coat, and he had a red t-shirt underneath, and you couldn't really see what the words on the shirt were because it was covered partially by the coat.
What color was the sport coat?
I think it was a dark grayish, something like that. And he goes, in the words of the famous American poet Nelly, "It's getting hot in here." And he takes off the coat.
Oh,
and
like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, not exactly like that.
Oh.
And the shirt says Trump is a scab. And so the whole crowd starts chanting, "Trump is a scab, Trump is a scab."
Ooh,
it was funny. I was texting Tim and he's like, "Dude, I kind of want that shirt."
Well, Tim should have that shirt.
He should have that shirt.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Tim, you know what? We got to get it for him.
We should.
When you said that he tore his shirt off, it made me think about something Bob Foster said in the group chat.
Oh,
he said AOC gave a great speech, but he was
did.
really looking forward to her, giving the old Hulkamania on us.
Oh, that would have been nice. Yeah, maybe a
Little,
Brandy Chastain moment or something would have been cool.
Who's this?
The soccer player that.
Oh yeah. She pulled the. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, sports bra time, right?
Yes.
What do you think about the protests that were going on? That was happening as my flight was taken off. It was like,
actually, I don't remember who it was, but one of the speakers said, "Hey, some of those protesters out there have a point, and we need to do better."
Yeah.
And I thought that's
healthy, right?
Yeah, I thought it really was.
I even thought just the protest in general is like a healthy thing.
I
You
agree.
didn't see anybody saying like, "Hey, we actually don't like who Trump stands for," doing anything outside of the RNC. Was there?
No, not that I saw. No. I thought the protests were, they were peaceful, and they were, they have a point. And for some politicians on that stage to acknowledge that, I think it's great.
I know that they broke through the outer barrier at a small location.
Okay.
And for a while, things were kind of on edge. Like, is this going to spread? If it spreads, what are they going to do? But it sounds like they mostly broke through the barrier and went, well, we've made our point. We don't really want to break through the second barrier and start getting tased and all of us arrested. But they could have arrested dozens of people there. and I think they arrested like maybe it was dozens. There was hundreds of people there though. So like they could have done mass arrests and they didn't.
They didn't. People were,
People were
freaked
throwing
out.
shit. Like they were, there was reason to arrest people. And which again, I've said 1,000 times, like, right, that's why you protested. You understood the consequences, you did it anyway.
Sure.
It's if there's no consequence, what bravery is this?
I mean, the protest in '68 that everybody was afraid, of comparing this to, that
Which they've been doing for months leading into this.
that went south because the cops, that wasn't
Exactly.
the protesters.
That was what I was getting at. Yeah. So the
Yes.
cops were pretty restrained.
They're pretty restrained. Yeah.
And as long as that, I mean, we're recording this Tuesday night. There's more time. They also tried to have a demonstration in the stands while Biden was giving his speech, but the people that were in front of them just held their signs up and screamed louder. So
yeah,
that, if you want to use the heckler's veto, we'll shut you down. Like, I don't mean we like I'm on one side or the other. I don't like heckler's veto in any context. So it's the opposite of free speech.
Yep.
It's anti-free speech.
And we've talked
People are
about
like,
it.
no, it's just, I'm using my voice. It's like, look, protest, I get it. If you do it in a certain way, though, you cross the line of it being effective and you undermine something that I have common cause with you about.
Yeah, having a conversation is different than
I mean, the people that Harris had a conversation with before her big speech, that the exact same people were the ones that did that big interruption that she's like, you're going to get, you might as well be a Trump supporter or something like that, right? Otherwise, I'm speaking. That whole thing, those exact people she had a conversation with before and said, like, I'm opening to having more dialogue. I understand your point. And when she didn't say exactly what they wanted to fucking hear, they shouted during her speech. And it's like, yeah. Anyway, this is supposed to be making fun of the left. God damn it. Oh, well, got one for you then. This was supposed to be some like cool thing with him and with Walls and Kamala. And they're talking about like food, tacos.
Okay.
And he says he makes white guy tacos and describes like the worst. I mean, dude, I thought I made white guy tacos. What he says is like, man, I feel like I'm like a quarter Midwest. Like I get Midwesterners. I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
Like I have white guy tacos and
What is
like
that?
black,
Like mayonnaise and tuna? What are you doing?
pretty much ground beef and cheese.
That's
and,
okay. Do you put any flavor in it?
Cream cheese and salsa, lettuce. Like that's white guy tacos, right? He just says ground beef and cheese. She
Sour
said mayonnaise
cream.
and tuna, right?
That was pretty gross. Yeah.
No. Here's the deal.
Oh. She don't put any spices on it. Okay, but this, like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, this should be in the context of things that are annoying, not offensive, but annoying.
No, they said to be careful and let her know this, that black pepper is the top of the spice level in Minnesota,
I'm the first vice president, I believe, who has ever grown chili peppers.
I'm trying to expand
We'll figure that-
my food knowledge.
We've got some cantaloupes. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just the coconuts. We got the coconut.
Like I have white guy tacos and
I mean, it's
What is
better
that?
black-
Like mayonnaise and tuna? What do you do?
It's better than Hillary carrying around hot sauce in her purse. That was
Look, it's still revolting. It's more palatable than anything Hillary ever did.
sure.
Like
Any kind of
it wasn't just Hillary was a woman. It was she is a unlikable candidate. I'm sorry you have Bill Clinton nostalgia and you want to make this happen.
He just has that aw shucks sort of vibe that comes.
I know he pulled it off, right? Coach can do it. It's like,
can do it.
man, like if JD Vance did that, and it's not just because of media bias. If JD Vance did that, we'd be like, this is coming across racist,
Right?
Like, but Coach can go up there and be like, and I say Coach for a reason. That's something a coach could pull off, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of the fucking devil, I forgot that I had this clip in order.
Donald Trump fell asleep at his own trial. And when he
They put her on the first night because they're like, yeah, we have to have you there, but we need to get this out. Get it
out of the
We
way.
need the vegetables first and finish up with mashed potatoes.
at his own trial. And when he woke up, he made his own kind of history. The first person to run for president with 34 felony convictions.
So, like, he's so hard to listen to. Nothing's fucking changed. People told me I was a misogynist in 2016 and ever since then. And we only have to hear like every year and a half. And every time I do, I go, Jesus. Like, I just, like, I know, like, it's an RFK repulsion, just voice alone.
I will say I watched that live and I did laugh when she dropped the line.
thought it
I
was
mean,
a
it
good
was
joke?
it was predictable.
You know
It
what?
was obvious,
Kevin, you
but
want to hear
yeah,
us
I did
debate?
laugh.
I'm about to tear you apart for that bullshit, Alex. Like that?
Okay.
Where do you put that next to Pokemon Go to the polls?
It
Just
wasn't
all her
that
energy
level.
is dog shit. Really? And then he woke up with 34 indictments. But the
Yeah.
audience liked it. Listen.
As Vice President,
He starts chanting, lock him up.
Vice President, Kamala sat in the Situation Room.
I don't like it. All right, we're done.
Yeah, I mean, she acknowledged it without acknowledging it, sort of. She kind of nodded her head, didn't really say anything about it. There were definitely times where I was watching, I didn't watch all of it, but I watched a lot of it, where the sort of the fervor of the crowd seemed a little bit disturbing. Like I don't think it's anywhere near
like is it like you're not accustomed to seeing Democrats in this manner?
a little bit like that.
I have never seen Democrats so united.
Yeah, that there is that. I
I'm
don't
so used to the why didn't you pick Bernie?
right. You brought up the whole like, are we getting another cult of personality just on the other side? I don't think we're anywhere near that level, but it's
Trying.
definitely
They put
it's
the-
definitely a little different
Yeah.
than we're used to, for sure.
Yeah. I just watched a video of Hillary Clinton very much alive.
Mm.
Wasn't she
She
supposed
appears-
to die before the 2016 election? I specifically remember Joe Rogan talking about this. She fainted at the 9/11 memorial, and she.
Well, that was a Trump talking point.
It might have been, but I
Yeah.
didn't listen.
Rogan probably-
listen to Rogan. I mean, it was a big
Yeah, yeah.
thing. Like I remember, it was like, yeah, she is pretty unhealthy. Like could this person even live for 4 years?
Yeah, I do remember that.
And at a minimum, it was on like magazine covers at checkout, right? So like,
Sure,
even if you don't buy those, you saw them, right? Like
you saw the narrative. Yeah,
it was a different time.
It was unavoidable.
Yeah. All right. What do we got next here? Let's do so that was Hillary. This is the way Hillary walked off stage. I got a problem, man. They brought back Fight Song. Remember, this was her.
Oh,
Our time, America. This is when we stand up. This is when we break through.
This sounds Pokemon Go to the polls. She goes like, and we win.
The future is here. It's in our grasp. Let's go win it.
That is so fucking pathetic, right?
she doesn't pull it off though. Like when Kamala says, "We fight, and when we fight, we win." I think
because
that
she's a different politician.
resonates.
She's doing 1990s politician impression.
Yeah,
She doesn't know how to not do that. Everything changed, and like, yeah.
she didn't evolve.
Nikki Haley did the same thing. To an extent, Ron DeSantis did the same thing.
He tried.
But no, but what I'm saying is like, I feel like this election actually taught us that the way people have been campaigning, we should have learned it in 2016. 2020 was weird because of the pandemic, but we want different campaign styles from politicians. And we don't want more of the 1990s politician impression.
I think that's true.
And the people that lost in the campaign largely it was because they got railroaded by Trump running out MAGA. But the people that wrote it out the furthest was Nikki Haley. And that was basically her campaign. It was a Gen X and a Boomers version of a politician in the time of millennials and Gen Z being largely driving the market of how the conversation is being spun about this.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So then they play the song. This was a loser for her in 2008. This is a loser. Well, she didn't use it because she wasn't running in 2012. So they won in 2012 without it. They lost in 2016 with it. They didn't trot it out in 2020. They just brought it out now.
Mm-hmm. Carly Rae Jepsen, man, she lives forever.
Is that Carly Rae Jepsen?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I love a Carly Rae Jepsen. I didn't know that was her.
Pretty sure.
I'm a big fan of Carly Rae Jepsen. Not just Call Me Maybe. There's another one that I can't remember right now, but I'm a big fan of Carly Rae Jepsen. I didn't know Fight Song was her.
I'm gonna fact check myself because I could be wrong.
Well, why don't you fact check yourself and we'll see if this audio works. If not, I'll pull it up.
Make America.
Oh, it works.
Hey, how about that?
Hold on. Well, that was weird.
The
The
other
other
was wrong. It's Rachel Platten.
Yeah, I've never heard of a Rachel Platten. Yeah, guess what? Shocker, it's not fucking playing. What do you think you're hearing the New York Times say?
One word to describe Joe Biden. If you had one word, what would it be? Heroic.
Not dedicated.
Honorable.
Right.
Courageous.
Delawarean? What was that?
Oh, wow.
Right here.
One word to describe.
Oh, I keep going too far.
Courageous.
Delawarean? That one.
I don't know. And I listened to that episode. I don't remember hearing it like that.
Delawarean? I'm hearing mellow Aryan or fellow Aryan.
That's weird.
I don't think either of those are good.
Courageous.
Delawarean? Ooh, I heard a D.
One word to describe Joe
Wait,
Biden.
Delawarean.
If you had one word, what?
Oh, Delawarean.
Delawarean? That's Delawarean. Okay, so it's not.
That makes sense.
Okay, so it's not.
The other options were quite concerning.
Well, thank God it's not anti-Semitic. You know. What do you call a German soldier who survived World War II? A veteran. Aryan.
A veteran?
It's another battle in the culture wars. Oh, not the culture wars. They're worried about a culture war. Culture wars. Stop with the culture wars.
I see what you did there. That was
Like
nice.
that?
Yeah, that was
I'm
good.
trying to work that one in, so I'm glad that found a spot. Here's I think we played a short version of this before. I fucking love these highlights. So this is John McCain in 2008 compared to Donald Trump in 2016.
I gotta ask you a question. I do not.
Oh, I love this clip.
I can't trust Obama. I have read about him, and he's a. He's a
Delaware.
he is not. No.
No, man. He's a decent family man, citizen that I just happen to have disagreements with on fundamental issues, and that's what this campaign is all about.
Can you pause that for just a second?
Yeah, I will. I'll remind you that was October 10th, 2008. That was a month before the campaign.
Before the election.
That's
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's like high blood pressure time period. Like, and he's just like, no, hold on.
I remember that moment in like sort of political history very specifically. And I felt like I actually there were a lot of things about McCain I liked. Obviously, there's a lot of things not to like.
Yeah,
too.
he was never a war he didn't like.
Sure. But man, he was so level-headed, and he was like in that moment where he was like, no, I disagree with Obama, but he's not what you're saying he is.
Yeah, let's just be clear about that before we keep going.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That politician does not exist, or is very rare, I would
You know who it
say.
is now?
Who is it?
Fucking Mitt Romney.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that is a nearly extinct animal, especially, you know, in the party that he came from.
Yeah.
And man, I
I
miss
can't
his
think-
voice
is
in
it-
the room.
is-
I'll be
Is
honest.
Mayor Pete the Democrat version of that potentially?
He might be.
I don't even
He
know.
might
if
be.
he is. I'm giving him credit for that. I don't know. I can't think of a Democrat that is though.
It might be Pete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's Donald Trump in 2016.
President Obama. He is the founder of ISIS. He's the founder of ISIS. Okay? He's the founder. He founded ISIS.
I'm concerned about, someone that, cohorts with domestic terrorists such as heirs.
I have to tell you, he is a decent person and a person that you do not have to be scared as president of the United States. Now, I just...
On the Hugh Hewitt radio.
Can I clarify?
It was the same crowd.
What he was talking about was Obama's pastor heirs who had some controversial takes, and so him being associated with him was a bit of a scandal when it all came out. That's what he was asking.
Obama is a long leg Mac Daddy.
Talking about that guy?
Yeah.
Radio show today, the conservative host gave Trump room to back down.
You meant that he created the vacuum, he lost the peace.
No, I meant he's the founder of ISIS. I do.
But he's not sympathetic to them. He hates them. He's trying to kill them.
He was the founder.
I got to ask you a question.
You can't be that and Captain Drone Strike, right? Like,
right.
Where do you think these weddings are happening? Like,
Okay, I wasn't expecting that. That was a good bit of levity injected. Thank you.
Thank you. Got the Project 2025 guy kind of giving away the whole we don't got nothing to do with this in a secret tape, Alan. Yeah, it's sex, lies, and videotapes. Hopefully, no sex.
In an ideal world, I mean, I think we could save the country in a sense of, the largest deportation in history. And once that starts, there's going to be you're going to be winning a debate along the way about what that looks like, right? Yeah. And so that's going to cause us get us off of multiculturalism just to be able to sustain and defend the deportation, right? If we're going to have legal.
So these are all the things they're like, they're not going to have mass deportation. You're exaggerating things. Like, I'm a little suspicious about the recording of this. It seems weird that they have multiple angles and all that.
We're going to save the world by mass deportation, Dustin. That's kind of how.
Get people that actually believe in Christianity. Is that something, or do we have to have, are we not allowed to ask questions about Sharia law? So I want to make sure that we can say we're a Christian nation, and my viewpoint is mostly that I would probably be Christian nationism. That's pretty close.
It's really close to
Christian nationalism.
It's really close.
I believe in nationalism.
One might say,
but I also believe in nationalism.
Closed doors. Vote tells us not to take Trump's disavowal seriously.
I expect you to hear 10 more times from the rally the president, distancing himself from the left's boogeyman at Project 2025.
Yeah.
You want to know why I take Project 2025 seriously? This just occurred to me.
Do tell.
Because I'm old enough to remember people calling me crazy for pointing out Project for a New American Century.
Oh.
That was like early enough internet that you're like, it's online, you can find it. They're like, oh, it's on the internet. And it's like, yeah, well, it turns out Project for a New American Century was exactly what the neocons wanted. It's exactly what they got. It coincided with 9/11, whether Bush did it or didn't. And then they did exactly what they said they were going to do.
They ran the playbook that they told you they were going to run. Yeah.
So I'm sorry. They have this 1,000-page document that sounds suspiciously fascist. I'm going to call this out. And it sounds exactly the way you motherfuckers told me I was crazy in 2001. And I wasn't wrong.
You weren't crazy, Dustin. You weren't crazy. At least not in that specific,
Okay, but
I'm kidding.
I was about to make the whole point again. Did you see any of this stuff about the Presidential Medal of Freedom? And Trump was sort of saying like it's better than the Medal of Honor.
I don't know if I did.
This?
I don't think so.
So vets have been kind of arguing about this in the sense that there's people that are, they've invested their entire personality into Donald Trump. So there's the people that are, the explainers of it. That's what this video is. And then the other side are fellow other vets that are like, hey, you took an oath and like, you shouldn't have to be, he said it. Like, okay. So I think this explains itself enough. I might have to pause it just to give some clarification.
The media's at it again, twisting what Donald Trump said.
Well, here we go. We all knew this was coming. The old what he meant to say.
So I'm starting to think, like, if you actually believe what CNN and the media is telling you, there might not be any hope left for you. So let me explain this one, and maybe I'll get through to somebody.
See, that's the thing is we all don't believe in what the media says. What we do is trust our own eyes and ears. But please do go on.
What he meant by the Medal of Freedom being a better award to get than the Medal of Honor is very simple.
We're not just going to stop and say that that's an insane thing to say, period. Okay.
If you won the Medal of Honor, more than likely you're dead. Your body got shot up and mangled. At best, you watched a bunch of your friends get shot, burned up, and die in the battlefield. That's what he meant by it.
Two things. One, still an insane thing to say because he's dishonoring soldiers' memory and sacrifice by equating the Medal of Honor with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And two, look how fucking uncomfortable you are. Your hand playing, you're rocking back and forth, your uncontrolled eye movements. You know what you're saying is bullshit. You know what he said is wrong, and you can't believe you have to sit there and defend it. But because it's your whole personality online, you're too dug in and you can't turn around now, can you?
And if you can't figure that out, I don't know if there's any hope left for you.
There's nothing to figure out, my guy. We all saw it with our own eyes and ears. And here's where your argument falls apart. Draft dodger. Suckers and losers. Don't bring the wounded up on stage. Nobody wants to see that. People think he's a hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured. These are all things Donald Trump has said about the military to dishonor them. So no, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt, and you don't get to explain this one away again. And even if you could...
I think we're good. We're good, right?
Yeah, we're good. I mean, I talked about McCain earlier. I don't want to fanboy out about McCain. But one of the things that Trump said that really kind of stuck in my craw was his whole take on McCain and saying he liked his heroes didn't get captured. I don't know how that wasn't just immediately disqualifying to be the commander.
I know.
I don't. That just blows my fucking mind to this day.
How's your craw doing since then? Like, is it still there? Did you get it out?
I got it out. It's
Glad to hear that.
toothbrush.
I'm going to play something that I dared join Instagram for some reason while I was watching that because ADD. I'm going to play something and I'm going to let you guess what it is.
Okay.
Let me stop this. What did I just play you?
Is that the Wisconsin rally? Maybe I don't.
That's Lil Jon while they're doing the ceremony with Wilma. So that's their. That was the right joke. He did the walls. He did
it.
Oh my god! Wow. I'm glad
I must be.
ADHD is a fucking superpower, man.
I must be behind because I have Obama on stage right now, or Michelle.
I think
Obama.
this was before then. This is while they're doing ceremonial roll call.
Oh, I saw that. I couldn't hear it, but I saw there was like a DJ and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the Democrats' Kid Rock, apparently.
That's hilarious.
What beverage would he shoot?
You
know, with guns, like
Rock didn't Mountain Dew for sure. Diet Mountain Dew.
Oh, why would he? But shoot it like shotgun this Mountain Dew. Man, I've never shotgunned a soda. Well, I think I've shotgunned a Dr. Pepper. Yeah, I've probably done that. That sounds like something I've done.
Yeah.
Okay, this would be our last clip of the show. It's very long. It's like 2 minutes long. This guy does great clips. This is Jason Pargin. Pargin. Let me play this for you.
All right.
See if do you recognize this guy? So he does long TikToks that end up on Instagram.
Not by face. I don't recognize.
So it's long form in the sense that it's like 2 minutes long on a social app, right? So the thesis here is kind of like our sense of humor, where it's like South Park makes fun of everyone is like real equality. And he makes a distinction of like where the punching up generation came through, and they created this like distinction that actually created its own like loser in it. Whereas before you could just be like, no, I respect you enough that I'll make fun of you. You know, you'll respect me enough to know that I'm not killing your, ego.
Right.
Let's let him do it.
Okay.
Kids ever watch South Park and say, how is this not considered a hate crime? I will occasionally see headlines to that effect, and I think this is really interesting because if you want to understand Gen X and how they saw the world and especially how they approached comedy, you have to understand South Park. Like a lot of things that have been around forever, it gets forgotten what a profound effect South Park had on the culture. When it came around in the late 90s, at the tail end of the Bill Clinton era, it had a very specific ethic, which is that if you believe in equality and that everyone should be valued the same, the best thing you can do is make fun of everyone equally. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm saying that this view dominated for a while. It was around 2010 that I first started seeing language talking about comedy punching up versus punching down. And you started to see the effect of things like Tumblr, where you would hear words like problematic being used. But this was more than a decade before any of that, and this represented a very different worldview. And I'm not saying it was right or wrong, but here's how it worked. Basically, imagine a group of coworkers sitting in the break room and they are all joking with each other. They are.
It's funny that for the video example, he has a scene from The Office in the background, which is another show that in the same way, it's like, especially those early episodes. Remember with the cards on the forehead?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody was fair game.
Yeah.
They're all laughing. They're all teasing each other equally. Now imagine another coworker comes in and everybody goes silent. The South Park theory of comedy is that you have just insulted this person. By censoring yourself around them, you have said, hey, we think you're too fragile to handle the joking we do with each other. That you have excluded this person from this form of communication, this ribbing and teasing we do when we all like each other and all respect each other. So what South Park was saying is we will ruthlessly mock everyone, every religion, every corporation, every social group, because to exclude someone from the mockery would be a bigger insult than anything we could say in the show.
You know, I never heard it broken down like that, but that makes a hell of a lot of sense.
I had my fucking microphone muted. I was like, why is he talking over me so much?
I couldn't hear you at all.
I feel like most people got the first half of that and then didn't get the second half of that. And they just ran. They're like, I make fun of everybody. And then you look at it and they don't make fun of everybody. They make fun of the people they want to make fun of. And then because to them, they aren't making sure that they don't exclude someone and insulting them, therefore vicariously or secondarily, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting the point that he makes, though, that by, you know, when the conversation stops because a certain person walks in the room, that is discrimination of its own right.
Right.
Like, that's its own
Right.
thing.
There's a
'Cause
little
you're
bit more.
you're not in the club, essentially, is what that
Yeah,
means.
exactly. You can't sit with us.
That to say, well, we can't make fun of this group because we're afraid of the backlash or afraid of how angry they'll get, that is the equivalent of the coworkers in the break room excluding somebody from the conversation.
Like these Swedes, right? Like you can't make these jokes around Swedes.
But about 10 to 15 years into the run, the dominant idea became comedy should never punch down, that all entertainment should be a form of social activism. Every joke should be aimed upward and attacking the powerful. And that if you aim a joke downward and make fun of someone who does not have a lot of power in society, that is literally a form of violence. That is dehumanizing, that is literally motivating atrocities that will happen in the future. I'm oversimplifying both sides of this discussion because TikTok. But my point is that the people who came out of this comedy scene, like me, there was almost this utopian idea of, in a perfect society, we would all accept that we are ridiculous in different ways. That no one is pure and holy and sacred, and that society is worse when we try to discern which people we're going to put into that category. But maybe they're making the same mistake that I think libertarians make when, for example, they say that in a perfect world you wouldn't need regulations, which is that the problem is this is not a perfect world.
So I like that thought at the end to be like, you know, was this always utopian thinking to think that could have worked?
Mm-hmm. I wonder what like a Brido or a Burke or a Babylon or hell, maybe actually we should play that clip for Simon King when he comes on the show. I'm very curious to see what somebody who actually does that like for a living what their take on that would be. Especially, you know, someone like Simon King who grew up in that era as well. So yeah, I look forward to doing that.
That's a good idea. I was frantically reading the Just Asking Questions to see how to get in so timely, and I didn't find one. There's something here. If I wanted to be a government watchdog, I'd rent Airbud on my government credit card.
When a guy's banging you,
Y'all let me in this damn house.
Not even funny.
Come in the name of
It was good.
LMFAO.
So what in the world is this? Is Kevin McCarthy a moron, and if so, why?
Why would you say something that stupid?
I come without explanations or solutions.
I'm a very sexy lady, cat turd. I will not suffer this harlot.
How great! An anti-American Marxist.
Ted Cruz, go fuck yourself.
Read the news.
China is asshole.
God bless the United States.
Podcasting.
Drive safe, dude.
Cheers.
Cheers.